Hello, this is the phenomenal show-off from the Concord Outlaws, and what you're about to listen to is an official product of the Concord Outlaws podcast. Enjoy. Check us out on Facebook.com/Concord Outlaws Wrestling or on Twitter @Concord Outlaws. Now please enjoy the following.
Yeah, we're coming now. Get the tables. Get the tables. Get the tables. Get the tables.
Hey, welcome everybody. This is the first episode of MarkOutMania. I am your host of Phenomenal K-Dog, Cody Montanaro, if you want to go with that too. If you see on my social media page. This is the first ever episode of MarkOutMania. It's kind of a branch off from the Concord Outlaws. If you guys have been following along with that, you got the Phenomenal Show Off doing his own thing, and the Phenomenal C Nation also doing his own thing. So I'm just kind of here exploring, seeing what we can do with our own thing here on the Phenomenal K-Dogs channel. Do have a special guest with me today. His name is Jacob Brock, aka Jake the Snake, or as I like to call it, Snake the Jake. And I guess we'll get into that here in just a second. But definitely the first solo episode here for us. Hopefully we can do these maybe once a week, maybe once every other week. I like to do some interview things, maybe being a little bit different, unique, and also doing some recap shows for SmackDown or Raw or any other pay-per-views as we go along here. But like I said, this is the first episode, the inaugural episode, so anybody that does listen to this, I do appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this. Hopefully it won't be the 2.5 hour fiasco we had with the Google Hangouts with the Concord Outlaws a couple weeks ago. But if it does, I feel like this will be a little bit more cool of an episode because this is somebody new that we're bringing into here. He's going to be joining us on the Concord Outlaws, also doing some other cool stuff. So definitely check that out as we get him rolling in here. Jacob Rock, it's great to finally been talking over for WrestleMania. Like we said before we recorded this, it's great to finally talk to you and pick your brain a little bit and introducing ourselves and whatnot. So pleased to have you on here, and it's awesome to get to talk wrestling and all that good stuff and sharing what you're going to be doing with the Outlaws.
Oh, well, man. So what we'll be doing here is I got a little bit of the experience, of course, like what we talked about before we started recording. A little bit just going in. The experience I used to have my own podcast, so I shouldn't say podcast, used to do live streams, Periscope, Ustream, used to go on Twitch. So bringing that experience around here is going to be amazing. We're going to get some new followers. Myself, I've already talked to Cody about this. I'm going to be doing a interview with one of the independent wrestlers that I met over the past weekend when I went to a show. Shout out to Next Generation Wrestling for that. His name is Sean Phoenix. Been only wrestling for a year, but you could not tell. So can't wait to get that rolling here in about 2 weeks. So can't wait to start. So be plenty of things. Be ready for, like he said, Raw. Going over Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views. Just all this sorts of stuff. I might do unboxings from Pro Wrestling Tees. So you gotta watch. You gotta find out and watch and listen, I guess. So
Definitely, yeah. Like I said, I got some cool things going on up here. He'll definitely be joining us whenever we do have the Concord Outlaws collaboration as a group doing a podcast or doing a live stream on Google Hangouts as well as YouTube. We'll definitely get into all that here as the time does go on. Definitely follow the page of Concord Outlaws on Twitter. At Concord Outlaws Wrestling on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody Montanaro. Capitalize the K and the M. And we'll do all the social media plugs in a little while because we'll do it too many times, as I like to say. There's too many people that do it too much. But so
exactly.
Kind of getting into the swing of things here. So man, tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you grew up, how you grew up, what you did as a kid, and basically going from there.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Middlesboro, Kentucky. If you cannot tell the little bit of the Kentucky accent, I guess, in myself, mixed in with a little Tennessee. I was born and I lived in Middlesboro until I was about maybe like 2-3 years old. Moved to Michigan. Lived outside of Detroit, Michigan, and Novi, Michigan. Eventually moved to. Actually, I should say I've lived in Bristol twice. So actually went from Kentucky to Bristol to Michigan back here to Bristol. So I've lived pretty much my childhood life here in Bristol. I pretty much was born in, or well, I can't say born, was pretty much raised here in Bristol. So so I guess going into it, getting into wrestling and all that, doing my childhood, you know, I'll never forget, you know, the first thing that happened to me when I was a kid. This is the thing that got me into wrestling was my grandmother had a VHS set. I mean, this is old school. I think this was like in 90, I want to say 92, maybe 93. I was maybe like 3, 4 years old, somewhere in there. She had a VHS, I mean, like a collection. It was from like I think it was WrestleMania 1, maybe to like 4, I think. So I'm not really sure on that. I used to sit and watch that. I used to have, if you guys remember, the old Mattel blue wrestling ring with the red, white, and blue ring ropes. I used to have that with the big WWF logo in the middle. I would watch wrestling, play with those, and all that. But growing up, you know, with my childhood and everything, used to love watching wrestling. Sports was another big thing of mine. I played baseball, played basketball. Didn't really play football until I got to middle school, but so that's pretty much been my life, is, you know, wrestling and playing sports and all that. So, you know, growing up here in Tennessee, you know, there's not a lot of, I guess you can say, wrestling fans. There are wrestling fans, I should say, here in Tennessee. I'm not going to bash anything about Tennessee. We are just now getting good indie promotion, or, you know, indie shows. Used to before, you know, it was just all local. You know, local wrestlers would come in and be like, oh, yeah, I can wrestle, you know. So I kind of went to kind of those, you know, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, growing up, I had a good childhood, you know, like I said, watching wrestling and idolizing the man, Mr. WrestleMania, HBK, Shawn Michaels. Well, that was my idol growing up, which is still my idol to this day. Never got to see him live until last year at WrestleMania 32, which we can talk about that later, which is a pretty cool story. Growing up, I'll give you this. Growing up, we was talking about Jake the Snake, and he likes to call me Snake the Jake. Growing up, I was a huge wrestling fan, of course, you know, just following it each and every, you know, all the time, watching it, you know, with my grandmother, who got me into wrestling. We sat. So, all right, I'm laughing because of this story. So the reason why I got the name Jake the Snake was because, of course, we all know Jake the Snake Roberts, of course, Jake Roberts. So I was in middle school, listen to me, elementary school. My sister was a couple grades ahead of me. My sister is 4 years older than I am. So there was a 6th grade teacher, Mr. Miller. Knew I loved wrestling. I used to have, I have the Wrestle Buddies still. If y'all remember the Wrestle Buddies. Do you remember Wrestle Buddies? That had Hulk Hogan, the Big Boss Man, Ultimate Warrior. I don't think who else. I don't remember who the other one. I think it was Ted DiBiase. I think was the other one. You know what I'm talking about?
I had the WCW version. I had Hogan, and I had Goldberg, and I had Sting, and I had Nash. Those little, like, I guess they're plush ones, and if you hit them on the nose or whatever, or on the arm or something, they would make a noise. Oh, my aching arm or my nose or whatever. Maybe I'm not talking about the same thing. I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit different.
No. These are the old school ones. These are like from the early '90s. Maybe mid '80s. I think. I can't really remember. I should have looked that up before we did all this. But y'all can do the research on it. But the Wrestle Buddy, I think that was the 4 Wrestle Buddies. I have a Hogan and I have a Big Boss Man. Plus, I have over in my closet that I'm sitting in. Listen to me like I'm sitting in a closet. In my sitting room, that I'm in right now, I have a closet that has a bin that's got over 300 wrestlers in it, action figures. Now, I do not have rings, but I used to. I got rid of my rings, and plus, as a kid, wearing them out, and, you know, friends keeping them, and, oh, let me borrow your ring, you know, you got a cooler ring than I do, you know. So I have over like 300 wrestlers in my closet sitting here that are well worth over, I know I got some that are well over $3,000, wow, even out of the package. they're still worth $3,000.
So if anybody needs a wrestling figure, just go over to his house. He'll hook you up.
Yeah, I'll hook you up, man. I'll give you a special deal. Like, you know how they're doing with the fidget spinners now. Buy one for $5, or you can buy 2 for $20, or heck, I mean, might do 2 for $20 or 3 for $20. Or no, 2 for $10 and 3 for $20. There you go. But that have a lot of those saved, and but growing up, so getting the name Jake the Snake was, I used to love wrestling. Of course, still love wrestling to this day. But being a kid, loving wrestling. 6th grade, he's actually my 6th grade teacher, named Mr. Miller, came in, knew my sister, of course, and everything, and he seen my name and everything, and my sister introduced me to him, and he's like, "Oh, your name's Jacob, huh?" And he's like, "You like wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I'm gonna start calling you Jake the Snake." So from the time I was in 1st grade all the way up until high school, I was always known as Jake the Snake. So I've always kept the name Jake the Snake. I still keep it to this day. Some of my friends still call me Jake the Snake every once in a while. It's just a good thing to be called, Jake the Snake, and it's like, oh man, how cool is this? Like, Jake the Snake. Like, I'm not Jake Roberts, but it's pretty cool. So
Right.
That name has stuck with me since I've been a kid. Since I've been at least 6, 7 years old. So it's always been a good nickname for myself. I've always, never told anybody that, oh, you need to call me Jake the Snake. If you're close to me, close friend, Jake the Snake was my nickname all through school. So that's always been my thing.
Yeah, like I said, my channel, the Phenomenal K Dog. That was something my brothers always used to call me. I got 4 older brothers, and they were all teenagers when I was born. My mom had me at a later age, she had my brothers when she was a young female, I should say, or young
Right.
woman. I should say female, maybe a bad word, but so that's what they just always call me K Dog. I have one brother named Shane, and even in my phone I call him Shane O'Mac, and he knows
I was about to
that.
say.
And he kind of gets it. I think I've told him once or twice. He's like, "Where'd you ever come up with Shane O'Mac?" And I'm like, "Oh, there's a wrestler named Shane McMahon, and you're Shane, so Shane O'Mac." And this is a funny one. I have a brother. So 4 of my brothers, all of them are named starts with an S. I'm the only one that doesn't start with an S.
Oh wow.
All 4 of my brothers have the same dad. I have a different dad. So there's 2 husbands my mom had kids with.
Right.
And so we'll have one brother named Shane. I call him Shane O'Mac. There's one of my brothers named Sean, and his middle name is Michael. And I'm like, okay, that's if I want to put an S on the end of that, that'd be perfect. And looks nothing like Shawn Michaels. Doesn't do anything like Shawn Michaels. So that does kind of make it a little bit sad. But I was just like, Shawn Michael, okay. I'm going to call you Shawn Michaels, but I never really did. So going back to the Jake the Snake thing, did you ever used to watch Jake the Snake? Did you ever have a fascination with them or anything like that?
Growing up, yeah, I mean, I was a fan of Jake the Snake, of course, the DDT, him throwing the snake out there, so I never, like I said, the Jake the Snake thing, when I watched Jake Roberts, of course, back in the day, he was one of my favorite wrestlers, of course, growing up, because back in that, day and era, Jake the Snake, was one of my favorites. Papa Shango was another one, was just totally off the wall. Like, everybody's like, Papa, even now people are like, Papa Shango, you like Papa Shango? Yeah, I like Papa Shango. Shawn Michaels is another one, that, like we was talking off camera, that's my favorite wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels. Another one is Macho Man. Was a huge Macho Man Randy Savage fan. That's probably one of the things that really, one of the people that got me into wrestling was, Jake the Snake. Of course, Shawn Michaels being with the Rockers with Marty Jannetty. And, oh man, just Macho Man. I was going to say Ultimate Warrior, and I was going to totally be like, I just said Ultimate Warrior. No. Nothing bad to Ultimate Warrior. Rest in peace, Ultimate Warrior. No, but like I said, those three right there pretty much cemented me. I was never a Hogan fan. To this day, I'm not a Hogan fan. I like the NWO Hogan, but was never a Hogan fan because that's going to shock a lot of people. Oh, wow, you're not a Hogan fan. No, I'm not a Hogan fan. It's kind of like a Cena. I'm not a Cena fan. You want to do next one is Roman Reigns. Definitely not a Roman Reigns fan. So, I just felt like, to me, you know, Hogan was kind of overrated in my theory, but a lot of people's going, I'll probably get bashed for it, and that's okay. You know, I'll take the criticism. It doesn't matter to me. But not saying that Hogan didn't do his job and you know, get WWE over with Andre the Giant. We all know that. So Hogan will always be an icon of wrestling. So I cannot say nothing, you know, hateful or bad towards Hogan. I was just never a Hogan fan. He never just stuck out to me. You know, it's always Hogan. Just, every time you've seen Hogan, it's kind of like now in our in the new generation, it's kind of like seeing Cena. You know, I guess you could say in our generation, seeing Cena, it's kind of, that's our new Hogan. You know, you've seen Hogan once, you've done, you know, whatever, you've seen him wrestle once, you're going to see it's the same thing over and over and over again. So, yeah. You know, it's same moves and all that. But no, I mean those three right there, like I said, you know, even Papa Shango, those four, you know, right there, man, really got me into it. Just the way, you know, the charisma and all that. But more of Macho Man, I can honestly say, as I'm getting a call on Facebook right now, which good thing it's on silent. But you know, Shawn Michaels, once he branched off and, you know, kicked Marty Jannetty on the barbershop, you know, threw him through the window. That's when I became a Shawn Michaels fan. Ooh, nice move by Kevin Owens. Sorry, like I said off the thing, watching Backlash, watching this match, and what a move by Kevin Owens. So, you know,
interesting. Yeah,
those were the ones.
So for me, it's always I grew up during. I don't know if I even told you this. I'm only 21. I'm going to turn 22 in December. But
wow, wait a minute before you go on with this. Okay, so you're 21.
Yeah.
You don't look 21.
Believe me. Okay.
Okay.
Here's a funny one. Go ahead.
Okay. So you're 21. I'm 28. Okay.
It's crazy.
I look like I'm 18 years old. If you would have looked at me and I would have never told you my age, you would have probably guessed I was in my 20s. Of course.
I would say early 20s. Yeah.
Early 20s. Early 20s. I get that a lot. No, I am 28. Trust me, I am 28, but I got the baby face.
Yeah. Okay.
We were doing. Got that baby face. That's why I don't shave my facial hair, because when I shave my facial hair, if you kind of look at Kevin Owens and that baby face, I kind of got that baby face going, and I don't like it because when I go out everywhere, it's even now, because when people look at my ID, because I used to be a bigger guy, you know, my ID has not changed since I've lost a lot of weight. But I used to be about 300 pounds. You know, I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody, but I used to be about 300 pounds. So now that I lost weight, I still look young. I always get, oh, you got the fake ID. No, it's not fake. It's real. It says 1989 on there. It's not fake. So luckily now they scan, you know, IDs and stuff when you need, like, you know, tobacco or alcohol or anything like that, you know. So I'm like, yeah, it's not fake. But I did have an incident in Florida with that, though, during WrestleMania weekend, where this woman swore up and down and she refused to sell me cigarettes because she thought it was a fake ID.
What?
Yes.
Come on, man.
Yes. That happened to me during WrestleMania weekend. She thought I was lying to her. She thought I had a fake ID. And I was like, how is this a fake ID? She goes, I've never seen a Tennessee license before. Well, first off, you've never seen a Tennessee license, so how do you know it's fake? Yeah. I was like, you can, like, just scan it. It's real, you know. And she refused to sell me cigarettes, so it is what it is.
I had a great time WrestleMania week, but man, I tell you, it's like the customer service down there was just a little bit off, in my opinion.
It was.
I mean, I've only been to Florida for twice, really, that I remember. I think I went when I was a little baby, but I mean, I went to Florida within 6 months of each other. Florida's great. It's a beautiful part. Really warm, really warm. And I thought being in North Carolina was warm. But customer service, I think, needs to go a
Yeah,
little
the
bit about
humidity
that.
there, man, is crazy.
No
That's the
kidding.
first time I've ever been to Florida. So,
Oh, really?
You know,
Wow,
my
look at
fiance's
that.
been plenty of times.
Yeah.
So,
She was used to it.
yeah. And then when we got there, she warned me about, it's it's gonna be humid, real humid, and all this. And I'm like, oh, who cares? I'm just ready to get away from the cold weather. And I get down there and it's blazing hot, and I'm loving it. And I'm
Yeah.
loving every
Yep.
second of it.
Going back to real quick about getting into wrestling and stuff like that. Like I said, I was 21. I was born in '95. So bam, smack dab in the middle of the Monday Night Wars. I started
Yes.
watching wrestling when I was 2 weeks old, from what my parents told me. My great grandfather, my grandfather, my uncle, my dad would all sit around, and we would initially watch Raw, and then when WCW was on television, we'd switch back and forth. But I have loyalty and heart to WCW. I'm always going to have a soft spot for them. I don't know what it was. I think it's just because my favorite wrestler is Sting, and he was always allegiant to WCW, so that's my thing.
Of course.
Yeah, Sting was my favorite, and if I'm going back into the late '90s, early 2000s, like 0001, I would say Bret Hart up there as well. Just wrestling wise, it's amazing.
Right.
Benoit as well. I know that's a very shady word to say and very shady name to say, but
Yes.
Benoit in the ring was probably one of the top 10 in my opinion, maybe not top 5, but
Top 5 for sure. Top 5.
yeah. So anyways, going on, you mentioned about your fiance.
Right.
Is she into wrestling as you are a little bit? I know you. I not been a stalker, obviously looking at just your Facebook profile, your Facebook profile picture of you guys, and I know
Right.
you took a couple pictures of during WrestleMania week. You guys were down there. Talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind. What
Okay.
she's into and all that good stuff.
Okay. This is the thing. So when we first met, me and my fiance first met. Her name is Michaela, by the way. So when me and Michaela first met, I call her Kayla. That's why I don't call her Michaela. But when me and Kayla first met, I told her, I'll never forget. We were sitting in the car, and I was, telling her about myself, and all this. And I was like, hey, you'll probably laugh at me, but I watch wrestling. She's like, oh, really? She goes, I've been to WrestleMania.
What?
Yeah, that's my
What?
exact thing. So I was like, wait a minute, what? She goes, yeah, but I'm not a wrestling fan.
Wait.
What? Yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute. Whoa. I was like, you went to WrestleMania, and I don't remember what the number was. I want to say 23 or 24 was in Atlanta. It might be up there. It might be in a 25, 26, something like that. But I want to say 23 or 24. But she went to the WrestleMania that was in the Georgia Dome. And I said, you went to WrestleMania. You're not a wrestling fan. Why did you go? I got free tickets, and they were on the floor and gave me something to do.
Oh man.
So I'm sitting here, and I'm like, wait a minute. You're not a wrestling fan, but you got to sit on the floor. You got to go for free. And I said, how much were their tickets? She goes, well, my friend's grandpa paid over $300, a piece for these tickets. I was like, and you got to go for free. She's like, yeah, I got to go for free. I was like, that's interesting. I was like, did you? And with her, I asked her. I said, did you watch wrestling or anything like that? And she said, growing up, of course, she never watched wrestling, but her friends, she had a friend that used to watch wrestling all the time, and that she would go over there, of course, and watch wrestling with her, and she knew who John Cena and all that was. Of course, now the wrestlers, I guess, like CM Punk and all those guys, getting into it. She really didn't know him by name or anything like that, but she's a huge fan of The Rock. So that's another reason why she went, is because The Rock hosted WrestleMania that year. Okay. So, now that we've been dating and everything, and been engaged and everything like that, I can honestly say she's not the biggest wrestling fan, but she is getting into wrestling. Over the years, she has been getting into it more and more and more. I can't say that, of course, she hates wrestlers that I like, like, for instance, she hates Seth Rollins, she hates Kevin Owens, You know, she don't like AJ Styles.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, you know, she doesn't like. I'm trying to think. She. I will give her props though. She does not. She does hate Roman Reigns.
Okay.
Now,
right. I can figure for a little bit.
yeah.
On that.
Now I give her a pass on her hating Seth Rollins and AJ Styles a little bit because she hates Roman Reigns, but at the same time, you know, just her getting into it, you know, and her, you know, sitting down and watching it with me, it's fun. I mean, you know, she usually sits on her phone a little bit, you know, when I'm watching pay-per-views or something, or when I'm watching Monday Night Raw and DVR, and stuff. But at the same time, you know, she's starting to get into it. Like I said, little by little, not each day, but each week or each month, you know, little by little, she's getting into it. And you know, her favorite, I think her favorite's Dean Ambrose.
Dude, your fiance and my girlfriend need to talk for real.
Dean Ambrose. I don't know what it is about Dean Ambrose.
Okay, so I've been dating my girlfriend for the past 5 years.
Okay.
And met in high school, but she was at college up in Asheville, North Carolina. So, but same
Not
thing.
too far away from me.
Yeah, right. I mean, probably the same distance. Maybe I have a little bit. I don't know. Anyways, I know they're both in the mountains. I know that much.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah, that's like the first thing I told her. One of the first things I'm like, you're gonna learn very quickly. I'm obsessed with a couple things, and she's like, okay, what are that? And I said wrestling and sports, and I said,
of course,
in that order. She said,
yeah.
Okay. So I mean, when she asks what's your favorite TV show, I'll say Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
SmackDown. She's like, are those even really TV shows? I said, yeah, they're live dramas every week. They're great. You should watch them. And it took her a while, but she's starting to come around a little bit. She's been to a couple of Raws with me. TNA's had a couple of house shows in Concord, about basically the city I live in. TNA's actually had 3 house shows. I've been to 2 of them. And Bound for Glory pay-per-view in the arena I graduated from. But
wow.
that was just simply amazing. And it's a small,
That's
really
awesome.
not the biggest arena in the world, so I thought it was really cool. But she's been with me to a couple TNA shows, been with me to a couple Raws. So, but she's not fully into it. She does watch it occasionally, and if she's over, she'll watch it with me.
Right.
She does watch Total Divas. I watch Total Divas, but it's...
I can honestly say, now, we don't watch Total Divas. That's one thing that I do not watch is Total Divas. There's nothing against Total Divas. You know, my sister actually watches Total Divas, and, you know, she keeps me updated, and she's like, oh, is... you know, Brie and Nikki, and, you know, she'll ask me questions. So, you know, I'm not the one that watched Total Divas, but some people do. You know, that's on you all. You know, if that's what you like, just what you like. You know, I have nothing against it, to bash it or nothing like that, because people, you know, watch any TV show they want to watch. You know, so like I said, a lot of people do like watching Total Divas. A lot of wrestling fans do like watching Total Divas because I mean, it's behind the scenes.
Exactly.
It's behind the scenes of what we don't get to see. And they go into their everyday life, and you know, I think who's on there now. I think I know Dean Ambrose and what's her name? Oh gosh, is it Renee Young? Yeah, Renee Young.
Yeah.
I think Renee Young's in it. Yeah, Renee Young's on it. I think Naomi was on it at one time and point. I don't know if she's still on it or not. I know when I was watching it that one time, Naomi was on it. Of course, with one of the Usos. I can't tell them apart.
Oh God, I think it's John.
Jimmy or Jay?
Yeah, I don't know, like the real name. One of them's John. I think the other one,
Yeah.
I don't know the other one's name. I know one of them's John. I think that's her husband's name.
Yeah.
And I don't even know which one is that between Jimmy and Jay.
Jay,
I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't watched this season on Total Divas. I wait till they come out onto the network and I binge watch them.
Got you.
Basically like a basic white girl waiting for a thing on Netflix to come out.
Of course.
Yeah. But... yeah, so some of her favorites, she loves Ambrose, and then she loves Bailey.
Okay, so you want to get into the women. Hers is Sasha Banks.
Let's see. Now, me and her would be cool, because I love Sasha Banks. But
yeah.
It's now turned. It was Sasha Banks, my number one girl. I was there when they had Raw in Charlotte in November, and Charlotte was a champion, and Sasha won her second women's title in Charlotte. That was pretty cool. But now it's turned. I went from being a Sasha fan, and I still am. My number one girl now is Alexa Bliss. I can't
You like Alexa Bliss.
Oh, I love her.
A lot of people love Alexa Bliss. You know, to me, I like Alexa Bliss. I can't say she's my favorite because my favorite has always been Naomi.
Okay.
And the reason why I say Naomi is because I feel like, and Becky Lynch, you know, I do like Becky Lynch a lot. I just think, you know, Naomi is one of the most athletic women on the roster. Just her moveset and her in-ring ability is amazing, along with Becky's. You know, that's something that my fiance, that's who she likes too. I should have mentioned was Naomi and Becky Lynch as well. So, that's the three. You know, I do like Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
I really do like Charlotte Flair. I think, you know, just her whole gimmick, you know, after Ric Flair is so amazing. It's perfect for her, you know, and her being a baby face right now is kind of weird.
I agree. Strong.
But you know, I don't think it fits her as well as a heel fits her. You know, there's certain people, you know, that can play both or do both a heel and a baby face. But there's some people that you got to leave a heel, and I feel like she's one of them. That, you know, you want to kind of leave a heel because she is so great at it. You know, Bayley. You know, a lot of people were talking about women, and I'm getting into all the women right here. Like Bayley, I don't have a problem with Bayley. I just don't like her finisher. You know, the Bayley, the belly suplex. Like, to me, why is that your finisher? Because I would have kicked out of that. You know, just stuff like that. But I don't know. You know, there's a lot of finishers that you can say, oh well, why is that their finisher? You know, like a clothesline, like JBL's clothesline, you know, but that was a brutal clothesline, though. So.
No kidding.
So, you know, when people's like the clothesline from hell, and it's like, oh, it's just a clothesline, but it's like, yeah, but look how powerful that is, though. That thing is brutal.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Before we get on to next topic, or kind of transition to something I talked about just a little bit a while ago, going to Naomi, you know, and I'm not still 100% a fan of her. I do respect her a lot. I think that she's come a long way. I think it's because she was with the whole Funkadactyls thing.
yes.
And that's how she got introduced with her and Cameron. And then it was Brodus. And then it was Tensai. And I'm like, man, this is just horrible. All around, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so when she first got into the ring, I was like, okay, whatever. You're just a filler. You're just someone for AJ Lee to beat up or Paige to beat up on. And then, you know, once Cameron left and she started doing stuff on her own, I could tell there was a big change in her definitely being the athleticism. I'm never ever gonna doubt she was athletic, even as a dancer. I know she used to be a dancer for I think a basketball team or.
I think it was the Heat.
Yeah, I think so. And
I think it was the Heat.
So I've never doubted her athleticism. It was just the more of the in-ring stuff, and the character stuff is always going to be back and forth of what you don't like her to do. But her run.
Sorry not to interrupt. It was not the Heat. It was the Magic. It was the Magic because that's where she's from. She's from Orlando, so it was the Magic. I think it was the Magic. Yeah, it was the Magic.
To be honest with you, I almost forgot the Magic were a team, and that's not because I don't watch basketball or whatever. It's
I mean they've been bad for the past couple of years. So.
Okay, that makes sense too. I almost forgot that we were in the Magic's arena in Orlando for WrestleMania week.
But, the Amway Center. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never really followed much of Naomi because of her wrestling ability. On Total Divas, I love her because she's like the mother of the whole group, and she ain't afraid to knock a bitch down. Basically, is what her words were.
Yeah.
But ever since this new run she's been on with the whole glow gimmick, and a little cheesy in my book, but I mean it works. It works.
It does.
And it's working, and she's come so far, and I think her being the women's champion makes sense, and it works. And I really can only see 3 women's champions on that show right now, and that's Becky, Naomi, and Charlotte. So I think if either one of them has a champion, I think we'll be fine.
Yes.
But kind of getting on to it, I mentioned a little bit a while ago some of the events I've been to, past with ex-girlfriend, and I've been to a couple more besides that, just on my own or with some of my friends. Either growing up or kind of recently, what's some of the events that stick out of your mind that you've been to, or some of your favorites or anything like that?
Okay, so growing up, of course, you know, you've been born in '95. Now that I know all this, so So when you was just a young lad, as I call people, a young lad, when you when you was just a young lad, um, you know, I was, WCW back in the 90s, or, well, I should say late 90s, back in like 97, 98, even into 99, WCW would run house shows here in Johnson City, Tennessee, which is a 15-minute drive from me, and they would hold them at Freedom Hall Civic Center. I would always go to the WCW house shows because you would always see everybody there. I've seen Chris Jericho, I've seen Eddie Guerrero, Juventud, I've seen The Outsiders, which is, Hall and Nash, I've seen Scott Steiner. The list goes on and on and on. You think of anybody in WCW, like Dean Malenko and, Conan and Buck Bagwell, you just go, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. The Big Show, I've seen, and Ric Flair, I've seen them plenty of times. Those were fun, going to WCW house shows. And then I think I want to say might have been 99 or the year 2000. Not 100% sure. One of those 2 years, or it could have been 98 or 2000. Between those years, 98 and 2000, I went to my first live event, which is, being on TV. Went to my first live event. So my first live event was Monday Night Nitro. So
There you go.
I got free tickets to Monday Night Nitro, and it's actually on the network. If you go back, I don't remember the date. I think it's on here, and I've watched it before. I went back. I was like, wow, is that really at that event in Knoxville? Because I went to Knoxville, Tennessee to watch Monday Night Raw. Listen to me, Nitro in Thompson Bowling Arena. So we call it the TBA. So I went to TBA and I seen them and had a amazing time. So, but growing up, I was the WWE kid. I watched, WCW because, like you did, was Sting, and my other favorite wrestler was DDP.
Okay.
I love Diamond Dallas Page.
Yeah.
I liked the NWO. Like I said earlier, and people's gonna be like, "Well, you liked the NWO, but you didn't like Hogan." No, I did not like Hogan, but I liked Hall and Nash. So, of course, growing up, me watching the first ladder match, with Razor and Shawn, how could you not become a huge, Razor Ramon fan, aka, Scott Hall fan, and same way with Diesel or, Kevin Nash, being with Shawn Michaels, and all that. So, growing up, I was a huge Scott Hall, Kevin Nash fan. So, I went to that event and I had so much fun. So, I think it was like a year later, I went to, which I was so excited about, I went to a WWE Monday Night Raw. Went to Monday Night Raw for the very first time. So, I think I was 11 years old at this time. So, like I said, whenever the event was in Knoxville that I went to, I want to say it was in 2000 because I think this was like in 2001 when I went into Raw. So I'm getting my years confused because I can't remember right off the bat because, back in 98 and all that, because I was still going to house shows. Right. So with WCW. But because WWE never came around. So that was the thing when I was a kid. WCW was based out of Atlanta. Of course, we all know that. Was based out of Atlanta. Ted Turner owned it. So where, WCW's thing was the South. Yep. So, of course, coming to Tennessee a lot. And I know they used to go to North Carolina a lot, too, to do house shows and do events, like if it was WCW Thunder or if it was, Nitro.
Oh, yeah.
Or a pay-per-view, they'd be in, North Carolina, of course. That I felt like, North Carolina was a big state for them. I can't just say North Carolina. I should say the Carolinas because that was like a big thing, for them. A lot of their, revenue and a lot of their fans were based in the Carolinas and even into Tennessee and down into Georgia, and all that. But when I went to Monday Night Raw, I had the best of time. I got to see Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon. Watched Linda McMahon come out there and smack the piss out of Vince McMahon.
Oh, that's awesome.
But a cool story before I get into it, what really made that night was I got to meet Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Oh, sweet.
So, me and my dad, of course, took me when I was a kid. So, me and my dad went, along with my uncle and his girlfriend at the time. We all went, and my grandmother bought me tickets, the one that got me into wrestling, because that's who I'd watch wrestling with every Monday night, was with my grandmother. Rest in peace to her. Bless her heart. But, watched wrestling with her every Monday night, every pay-per-view. I remember having to tune in on channel, was it 99 or whatever, back in the day when you had the old school cable box, and you turn it to channel 99, and it'd be scrambled, and you'd have to sit there and listen to it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, so we used to do that, but we used to also buy all the pay-per-views as well. My next door neighbor used to have one of those cards. When I actually moved to where I'm at now, here in Bristol, Tennessee, my neighbor, who is an ex-fireman and ex-cop, had one of those boxes that, you got your free pay-per-views and all that, the channels for free.
Yeah.
So I think it was a scrambler, I think is what they called it back in the day, and back in the 90s. So I used to go over there and watch a lot of the pay-per-views. My grandmother would go over there, and then we would also rent the pay-per-views. So you got to think at that time, you had WCW and WWE, having pay-per-views almost every week or every 2 weeks, so you're spending at that time, they're $19.99, and they're not like how they are now, like $49.99, like paying for a UFC fight.
Yeah.
But, no, back to on topic to what we talking about. So I met Matt and Jeff Hardy, and I met Triple H, along with Stephanie McMahon. We was parking, and we come across this limo, and I was like, wow, that's a wrestler in there. So here comes Matt and Jeff Hardy. I meet them, such awesome dudes, and of course this is when Jeff Hardy was still doing drugs and all that. So I did, not the sober Jeff Hardy. It was the the drug abuser Jeff Hardy. But no matter what, I was still a big Hardy boy fan. I was still a big Hardy fan. So I got to meet them. They ran off and went inside the building, and Triple H comes out. I have a conversation with Triple H for about 10 minutes. This dude, if you remember back in the day, he used to have a jean jacket that used to have the H's on the back.
Yep.
I about got that jacket.
Oh, dude.
Until that would have been so sweet. He was handing it to me, and here come about 50 people, bombarding. I mean, you'd have thought they just released, the Bulls or something, and here they come. And here goes Triple H. I got to go. And I was like, oh, man. But the highlight of it, meeting, Triple H and Hardy's, which was awesome. And that event, that Raw itself was awesome. I've also been to another Monday Night Raw, which was back in 2007, which was back at TBA Arena in Knoxville, which was a good show. At the time, I think that's when John Cena and Batista were tag team champions. I think, they were tag team champions. I think that's who he was a tag team champion with, was Batista. I think that's who it was. Not 100% sure. I gotta get my trusty dusty phone out here and make sure I'm right, because I don't want to be wrong, and then all y'all wrestling fans be like, "Oh man, you're wrong on that." But
yeah, what a mark! Yeah, he thinks he knows everything. He doesn't know nothing. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
come on now. He don't know nothing.
There's your mark out moment right there. The MarkOutMania moment.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, you got to think about it, though. I think I was 18. Yeah, 18, 19 years old at the time. So, and I've been to plenty of events since then. So, but I remember John Cena being there and having the tag team champions. I'm looking. Yes, they were tag team champions.
Okay.
So yes, it was them. It was they were tag team champions. So, I went to that event, and I think it was right before pay-per-view. I think they were about to have a match against each other, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I remember going to that, and it was a good show. I thought Shawn Michaels was going to be there, so I was so excited because I've never seen Shawn Michaels, live before. No, of course they via satellite in San Antonio, Texas, is Shawn Michaels. I'm like, oh great,
Right.
whatever. And I'll never forget, I made a sign that said, um, I sold my food stamps to get Monday Night Raw tickets. That was my sign that I took, and I held it in the passenger side window. I hung it there, and people would look at me, like look over at the car, and they would just bug up laughing. And I took it into the event and held it up and everything, and everybody was laughing at me, like, oh, that's a sweet sign. I would have never thought of that. And, of course, me living in Tennessee, it was funny. So, but after that, I went to another house show, a WWE house show in Johnson City. WWE came to. So, and then I went to Monday Night Raw. Now this gets in. Now I'm gonna play this into my cousin real quick. My cousin went with me. My cousin Trevor, my cousin Nick went with me, and they got into wrestling. My cousin Nick, when they first moved here, my aunt was in the Air Force, of course, and they used to live in England. So their whole thing was my cousin Trevor stayed up all night long to watch WCW, watch Monday Night Nitro. His babysitter told him, "Hey, that's fake, right?" And he lost interest of it until he moved. I said home. So he moved here to Bristol, and my cousin Nick got into it. I got him into it, and then a couple years ago, I got my cousin Trevor into it. So we went to this event. We went to Monday Night Raw, and it was the worst Raw of the year. The next week, Seth Rollins turned on the Shield.
Oh, wow.
So I went, whatever pay-per-view that was, I want to say it was Extreme Rules, I think, or Payback, or one of the two. I don't remember which pay-per-view it was that, before I went to. But, like I said, that was the worst wrestling event that I have been to. And it was the worst Raw of the year, and probably the worst Raw still to date.
Wow.
It was so bad. Very, very bad. I mean, John Cena was there, of course, and that's when, the whole Batista and Randy Orton and the whole, Evolution was going on, and all that. So, I went to it, and it was bad, and, I did get to watch, Triple H powerbomb Roman Reigns through the announce table, which was awesome. But it was pretty cool, that the ending of it was cool. Of Raw, because, you had the Shield out there with Randy Orton and Triple H and Batista out there, feuding, and they was having a contract signing, and that was cool. But other than that, it was horrible. I think the Wyatts were there, and, and like I said, it was just bad, all around bad. If I had to give that show a grade, I'd give it an F. So, it was bad. But, and you was talking about indie shows, so I went to an indie show not too long ago. No, actually, not too long ago. Of course, it was just last Sunday, this past Sunday, which is Next Generation Wrestling. Shouts out to them again. They put on one hell of a show. Cody Rhodes versus Matt Cross, of course, who's in Lucha Underground. Matt Cross is. What a show. What a show, man. 5 stars. Every match was a 5-star match. There was not a bad match there. Other than Joey Ryan being a jerk off to me, but that's the only person that was a jerk off. To me, I mean personally. But after the show, I actually got to talk to him, and he was pretty chill. But when I first met him, he was not happy about something, and I probably interrupted something he was doing, and he was not happy about it. But that's okay. He
Right.
kind of got over it once after the show. So, like I said, that was a great show, and if anybody from Tennessee or wherever you're from, I would look into it. It's in Newport, Tennessee, which is outside of Gatlinburg, Tennessee, or Pigeon Forge. Gatlinburg, I call it Gatlinburg. A lot of people here call it Gatlinburg, but it's Pigeon Forge. Right outside Pigeon Forge or Sevierville. Right outside of that, and I think it's 37 miles away from Knoxville. Great promotion. Can't say nothing more about it. I'm going to another indie event, which is, I think it's a Scenic City Invitational, which is in Chattanooga. It's going to have Joey Janela there, and all types of guys. And it's a tournament. It's a 2-day tournament. It starts on Friday, ends on Saturday. So I'm going to go to it, and then I'm going to go back to Next Generation Wrestling. They're having a tournament as well the following week. So those are the two next events that I'm going to. And then I'm going to Raw in November in Lexington, Kentucky at Rupp Arena.
Uh-oh. Home of the
Yeah.
Wildcats. Look at that.
Yeah, home of the Wildcats. I'm a Wildcat fan, Kentucky fan. So going there, and hopefully I can catch a basketball game the next night, which would be so cool because I haven't seen a basketball game in Rupp Arena for a while. But that would be cool. That's the plan. So that's the next 3 events that I'm going to. As of right now, that I know as set in stone. Of course, tickets for Raw has not went on sale. They probably won't go on sale until like September or something like that. You know how that is. But so that's the events that I've been to. Is like I said, been to a bunch of WCW house shows, WWE house shows, Monday Night Raw. I've been to 3 Monday Night Raws, 1 Nitro, and also been to Survivor Series. I forgot about that. I went to Survivor Series last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went to Survivor Series last year. I forgot all about that. Was it last year? Yeah, it was last year or 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. I'm trying to think. I'm on the network, so I'm going. Here we're going to have another mark out thing, guys. Just gotta stay patient with me because, like I said, there's wrestling with me. Boom. It gets so clustered up there in your brain. You're like,
Right.
man, what's Survivor Series? Because, it was 2 years ago. It was 2015. So,
wasn't that Taker
the
and
25th.
Kane?
Yes, I've actually got
Teamed up?
Yes, I actually got an Undertaker poster at that event for free.
That's cool.
Oh yeah, dude, I got it hanging up, of course. So that was a really cool because that was supposed to be the Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns title match, and that's when Seth Rollins got hurt, like a couple weeks before Survivor Series. So and that's when they had that tournament. I think if you remember, they had that tournament during Survivor Series for that. I went to it. That was a good show in itself. When I personally got back from it, I gave it like a B. Could have been a little bit better, but being there in person is different. Of course, for any event, any wrestling event that you go to is always different. So, but it was fun. Survivor Series was fun, and then I went to WrestleMania last year, WrestleMania 32, which we can probably get into that later if you want to talk about WrestleMania 32, unless you want me to talk about it now.
Yeah. Just share. We'll talk about the 33 here in a little bit, but definitely
Okay.
share about 32.
Okay, 32. So, 32, WrestleMania 32. I know this year was your first WrestleMania,
Yep.
and we can get into that a little bit, and because I want to ask you a couple questions and see how you think, or you might follow up with this. So, I go to my first WrestleMania last year, which is, of course, 32, Dallas, Texas, set the attendance record and all that. So, me and my fiance go. I was excited because, it was the first time me being on a plane flying and me being in Texas, and because I've not been, that far, before in my life, other than going up north to Michigan. So, when you go down south or, Midwest or whatever you want to call it, I still say south because of Texas is in the south. To me, it's in the south. But
Yeah.
some people want to say Midwest. It's either or. It doesn't matter. But to me, I went to Texas. Was there Friday? No. Take that back. I flew in. We flew in on Saturday. We left out of Charlotte. Of course, because it's cheaper, to fly out of Charlotte than it was Atlanta. So flew out of Charlotte, got to Texas, went to Dallas, Texas. Was there on Saturday. The first thing I did was go to the Superstore, and everything was gone. Like, everything was gone. Because at that time, you got to think the New Day was popular. That was the biggest thing going on, was the New Day. So you could not find nothing New Day. The only thing I could find New Day was socks.
Oh, wow.
That's the only thing. Actually, the day of WrestleMania, I actually found a New Day shirt, which is the one them riding the unicorn and all that. Sorry, excuse me. But that was the... I went to 32, and I was so happy. I was so stoked that I was going to WrestleMania. So I knew the car. I know the car sucked. like going into it, I already knew it was not a good card, but I didn't care because it was WrestleMania and it's the Mecca. It's just WrestleMania. It's like I said, it's just WrestleMania. So I go, have fun, man, and that's where I met my buddies, Dustin and Billy and David. I met them at WrestleMania. They stayed in the same hotel, and shouts out to them because I know Dustin will probably listen, and Billy and David, and if they listen, shouts out to you guys, longtime friendships. So met them there. We had a good time. Sat outside and drank a couple beers. And missed our bus. We missed our bus 3 times from our hotel to go to AT&T Stadium. So. I run upstairs because the guy comes out of the hotel lobby and is like, "Hey, we're about to leave in 5 minutes, and this is the last bus." I was like, "Cool." So I run upstairs, take a shower, come back downstairs. There's more beer to be drunk. So we get to AT&T Stadium, which there's a Walmart right across the street. So we sit in a Walmart parking lot and drink beer until we get kicked out of the Walmart parking lot and go over to AT&T Stadium. So I was half drunk. Well, I shouldn't say half. I was drunk going to my first WrestleMania. But, and like I told you, after New Year's, I've not drank since. But, so I was drunk and don't remember half of it because it was that bad. The only matches that I remember was the ladder match. Of course, Zack Ryder winning it, and of course, who can remember Roman Reigns winning the belt? Of course, the Brock Ambrose, the Shane McMahon Undertaker match, and the AJ Jericho match. So, because I actually missed the Divas match. Listen to me, I said Divas. Sorry, women's match. Because that's what they still was calling them Divas then until they introduced the Women's Championship. I went and missed it because I went outside to smoke a cigarette. Bad habit of mine, I know. But I actually missed, which was probably the best match of the night. Because when I came home and rewatched it, it was the best match.
I was going to say,
other than the Undertaker Shane McMahon
last match, really.
Huh?
I was going to say you basically just missed the best match with that women's match.
Yeah, it was the best match, and like I said, I was like, well, okay, I guess I'll watch it. And plus, Snoop Dogg did the entrance for Sasha Banks, and yeah, but that's okay. I went and seen Snoop Dogg live a couple weeks ago, or a month ago, so ain't no biggie there. So, so yeah, that WrestleMania 32 was a fun experience. Like I said, before I left Dallas, Texas to go, to the airport, I got offered free tickets to Monday Night Raw. And I had to turn them down. Because the simple fact is, because we could have switched our flight to the next day, but the hotel room was already booked, or I think the rooms were already booked for the night and stuff like that. I don't think they had any vacancy left, which I stayed at La Quinta, a very nice La Quinta Inn too. Very, very nice place in Texas and Dallas. So, of course I did the historical things, the same where JFK got shot too, thanks to my Uber driver.
Oh, wow.
My Uber driver, if you're listening from Texas, Dallas, Texas, you know who you are because you took me right past it. And you told me where of course you showed me where the marking was of where he got shot and everything. So, which I'm a big guy.
Free shout out to the Uber driver. What a good brother.
Free shout out to the Uber driver who was from New York, which it seemed like the other Uber driver that took me to the Expo Center where they had NXT when I had NXT TakeOver, where the Superstore was and Access and all that was from New York, and then of course we get another one from New York. So, but very nice guy, took us around, and everything like that. But that was on Saturday when we first got there. But as I left, I felt bad because I couldn't go, but was excited to get back home after WrestleMania 32 because it was so exhausting. Like, I was so exhausted from 32 because we didn't get back to the hotel. I think it was like 1:30 in the morning. So, yeah, it was bad. Our bus was late and all that. Was taking people to different hotels. I wasn't staying at the La Quinta. Thanks, La Quinta. But no, I'm just kidding with you guys because they're awesome people in Dallas, Texas. That La Quinta, I would stay at that La Quinta again. everybody there, the staff and everybody there was nice. So, but no, it was about 1:30 when I got home, or when I got home. Listen to when I got back to the hotel. When we got back to the hotel, but all in all, like I said, I gave that show like a C, just because I was there and the electricity, the fans and everything else was amazing. So, 32 was all right, but 33 made up for it.
Yeah.
Big way.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's quite a bit of events you've been to. Kind of run down quite a bit of a list there from, going from late '90s with WCW all the way up until now with WrestleMania 33, and we'll talk about that for sure. But yeah, quick, just something quick that we hit on whenever you had started talking about it, and you mentioned me as a young lad, and I thought it was just funny that you did that. I have no offense to it or whatever. Most of my friends that I talk to are 24 and older. Like, two of my best friends are 24 and 28, or 28 or 29, one of the two. So, and I think just being around older brothers, and I guess the facial hair too had something to do with it, because I had like a mustache when I was 10 years old. So I've always hung out with people that are older than me, and it's really weird because the Outlaws basically, our group, are filled with 19 and 20-year-olds. So I'm like the father of the group, basically. That's what they call me anyways, the father of the group. So, and a quick story about the age thing. I went to a amusement park in Myrtle Beach. I'm from originally Myrtle Beach, but went to an amusement park, not the Pavilion, for those of you that lived in Myrtle Beach. Yes, I know, I'm still salty about it too, and it's been over 10 years now. Went to a place called Family Kingdom, which is now the only amusement park in Myrtle Beach, and they have those little little stations that have, guess your age, weight, or birth date or something like that, and you get a free prize if they don't get it right.
Right.
So I was like, I got to do age. And I hadn't shaved in maybe a week or so I had quite a bit of a scruff going on. It's like, man, I have to do the age. So I get up there, and he's like, yeah, you look about 19. And I'm like, I'm 16. He's like, yep, you can go get a prize. I said, if I was 19 years old, I really wouldn't be here. I'd be out in a strip club somewhere or something like that. He's like, you know what, you're right. I didn't even think about that. But,
you'd be at Mother Fletcher's is where you'd been there.
Yeah. It's,
I know all about Myrtle Beach, man. Used to vacate there a lot, so
I know too much.
Yeah,
about
I know what you're talking about, Family Kingdom.
That's why I go.
The Pavilion was it the Pavilion that was there?
Yep, exactly. That's what it was.
Yes, that was awesome. I used to love that. Their wooden roller coaster was awesome.
Yeah, the Swamp Fox, I think was the name of it, or something like that.
Yeah, and then they had a Hard Rock Cafe, which I never went to, but
no, neither did I, and that only died after 2 years. So
yeah. My fiance went. She said it was horrible.
Yeah, I that's why I'm glad I didn't spend any money near that place. But yeah, that's home for me, basically. I mean, I live up here in Charlotte, and it's not a bad place to live. But if I had to choose a home, it'd probably be Myrtle Beach. Factor out all the sports things, because Myrtle Beach only has the Pelicans. So.
Yeah, well, I would be opposite with you. I would love to live in Charlotte.
So, really? Yeah. We talked about that a little bit. How?
Yes, I would. Well, me being a Panthers fan, I mean, that kind of has a little bit to do with. But at the same time, just been to Charlotte so many times. Of course, going to Carowinds and stuff like that. As a kid, and just love the atmosphere and the people there. The people in Charlotte are so nice. So nice. I mean, you live there, so it's kind of different. I don't know how it is for you, but for me, it was people were so nice, and just amazing people. So
I was just going to say, you need to direct me to those people you find amazing, because there's quite a few people here that I really despise.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, it'd be kind of like, oh, I want to visit Bristol, and I'd be like, why do you want to visit Bristol? There's nothing here but Bristol Motor Speedway.
Exactly.
Why do you want to?
I visit Bristol for the Speedway. And I'm like, wow, there's quite a few nice people here, and you're probably like, yeah, I guess I don't know.
Exactly.
So I'll hit on a little bit of some of the things I've been to. So. Kind of like what you said, WCW was the bulk of their fan base was in the Southeast and in the South. Mm-hmm. And I know there's been quite a few times that they've came to Florence, South Carolina, which is about an hour and a half away from Myrtle Beach. They go to the Florence Civic Center. WWE's been there quite a few times too. They stopped going about 4 or 5 years ago. But Thunder would be there in the Civic Center. They'd run house shows there, but I never got to go. I almost went once, didn't get to go. My first wrestling event that I really went to was when I lived in New Jersey for a year, and my dad was working for doing some wallpaper and painting for just a guy he regularly done, and he had mentioned to him that my son likes wrestling. He's like, "Oh, there's an event coming up in Philadelphia at the then Wachovia Center," and he said, "You guys, you want tickets?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So he got us 3 tickets. We didn't sit really, and we're close. We sat like in the lower level, like behind the ring, but it was still pretty cool.
Right.
Went to the now infamous Royal Rumble of '04, which
Oh wow.
I think we can all guess who won that Rumble. As ESPN likes to say, Eddie Guerrero won it, but I don't even think Eddie Guerrero was in the Rumble that year.
Yeah,
So
we all
that
know
was-
who won.
That was my first ever wrestling event that I've ever been to. Was the Royal Rumble '04, where Benoit obviously won the Rumble. I got to see, Eddie. I could basically run out that whole card. It was Batista and Flair were the tag team champions. Evolution was then there. The Dudley Boys were there. Rey Mysterio was there. He fought for the Cruiserweight title against Jamie Noble. Hardcore Holly made his return from that neck surgery against Lesnar for the WWE title, and then that instant classic, the Last Man Standing match for the world title between Triple H and Shawn Michaels. I saw that.
Oh, see, jealous.
Yeah,
Jealous of you
that
right
was awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that was a sick match. And then the Rumble, of course. So
there. Yeah.
that was really cool. The fact that I got to say I've been to a Rumble, which if I had to choose pay-per-views to go to, Mania, of course, Rumble is up there. So that was pretty cool.
So you've got 2 out of the big 4.
I've
Done.
got 2 of the big 4 out of the way. So it's just like you. You got Survivor Series and Mania.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just need to go to Survivor Series and SummerSlam. You got to go to the Rumble and SummerSlam.
And SummerSlam. Yep. And I plan on doing that. Actually, while we're sitting here talking about events, I think after next year, because I am going to WrestleMania 34, so of course, that's already been planned between me and my fiance. She loves New Orleans. Went last year. Because of course she went on a cruise.
Okay.
And boarded out of New Orleans and loves the whole history of the voodoo and all that, just it being haunted and stuff like that, just all that historical. And I'm big into history too, so it's a good thing to go. But after next year, I am going to SummerSlam. Hopefully it will be in California, because that is a state that I really, really want to go to. And I've always wanted to go to California. So I think after next year's WrestleMania, I will definitely be going to SummerSlam.
There you go. Yeah, I haven't. I'm still on that fence line of traveling to places, because I've never flown a plane still. So that's just my thing. Is once I get that first or couple trips out of my system, then I'll be okay flying into places and spending money and stuff like that. But so yeah, went to the Rumble '04 in Philadelphia. It was about an hour away from where we lived in South Jersey. Literally 2 months later, same guy offers my dad 3 free tickets, 3rd row, ringside, off camera. So it wasn't like we were shown on camera the whole night. We were off
Right.
camera for SmackDown, and it was the SmackDown before WrestleMania 20 in Atlantic
wow.
City at the Boardwalk, and that was when Angle and Eddie were having their feud going on, and then
Yes.
you had Brock Lesnar was there, and he stole Stone Cold's ATV, and Stone Cold came back and got the ATV. The coolest thing about that night, and I didn't know this, my dad only told me we had free tickets for SmackDown, and it was 3rd row from the ring, but it was off camera. I was like, I don't care, that's cool. I'm not,
Right.
I'm 7, 8 years old at this time. And the coolest thing was, so they taped shows, obviously, or tape shows after the events. They had Velocity then, so they taped Velocity before SmackDown. In the middle of them taping it, we went backstage, and I got to take a picture of, and talk to a little bit with Stone Cold.
Oh, that's cool.
I know the autographs around here somewhere between all the moving and stuff like that, and my dad and my mom and I all collected all sorts of sports memorabilia and signed stuff, so it's in there somewhere. But yeah, I got to meet Stone Cold, me and like 9 other kids, got to meet him, shake hands with him. He signed his autograph for me, took a picture. Earl Hebner was there directing the whole thing. Stone Cold was like driving a truck around this time in '03 and '04, and it has its own logo and stuff like that, and I took a picture of that. and then I got Farouk to sign one of my the little SmackDown programs that they had. I just caught a glimpse of him. I guess as they were coming out to the ring or whatever, and I saw Farouk, and I said, "Hey, Farouk, can you sign this real quick?" It's like, "Yeah, no problem." So that was really cool.
He
And
didn't go damn. To
yeah,
you.
no, this was right, but this was before then. So
Yeah, I mean,
that
especially
would have been cool.
Yeah, it'd have been cool. It'd be like damn, and then you signed it and went on to the
Damn,
ring.
kid.
You know. But
So
you was talking about before you go on. I forgot about that. I have met the British Bulldog. He actually
That's
WWE
awesome.
came here a long time ago, back in the early '90s, and my grandmother took me to Pizza Hut. He was signing autographs at Pizza Hut, and man, I met the British Bulldog, and that autograph is actually, I think, with my aunt in Kentucky put up. With my grandmother's stuff that she had, because that was one of the things, that she had put up was
Right.
the British Bulldog's autograph, which I need to get it from my aunt, because that's something that I want to keep and have forever, and not be destroyed or something like that. But that was one of the cool things, is me meeting British Bulldog. So that was awesome, man.
that's
But
pretty
you
cool.
getting to meet Stone Cold was pretty cool. That's better than me meeting.
I don't know. I know British Bulldog, man. That's a legend, especially since he's passed away.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a legend. I mean, Austin's a
Yes.
legend too, but I'd say they're pretty much even. I'd say even.
Yeah.
So yeah, I go to SmackDown at before Mania. So that was 2 shows within 3 months of each other. Awesome. Then they hit a plateau again of not going to another wrestling event for 5 years.
Wow.
And around that time, we moved a couple places, moved back down to South Carolina, and we moved up to Charlotte in '08. So I lived about South Carolina for like another 4 years, and then we went up to Charlotte, where I've been now since 2008. And for Christmas in 2008, my grandfather bought my dad, my uncle, me, and my cousin tickets for an upcoming pay-per-view in January that was going to be held at the now Bojangles Coliseum in Charlotte, called Genesis.
I know exactly where that's at.
Yep, it was called Genesis. It was a TNA pay-per-view. And at this point in time, I was starting to lose interest in WWE and started to I'd watched TNA up until in 2005. And so I was always on the TNA bandwagon, always watched them. So when they came to Charlotte, I'm like, dude, I got to go. I really want to go. So they got us tickets for that. Quick story before I tell you about this little event of Genesis. Like I said, I've always been a Sting fan, and I knew that after WCW ended, he wasn't really going to be wrestling a whole lot. So when one night my grandfather, my uncle, and one of their friends came over to our house to play cards with my parents, I don't know cards. I'm not going to play cards. So I sat there, just watch television, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, man, what to watch? And I really don't want to go to bed because I loved hanging out with my family and stuff like that, and still do. So I searched on the guide, and this is December of 2005, and I see a thing called TNA Impact. And I'm like, what is this? So I clicked on it, and I don't know if it was a coincidence, if it was God telling me something. I don't know. That was the episode after a TNA pay-per-view called Turning Point. It was the first show after that. That was the first show that they basically said that Sting's returning to wrestling. And he made like a little vignette during Turning Point the week before. So this was the first show after that pay-per-view, and they announced Sting was coming back and all that good stuff. I'm like, okay, this was before I knew anything about really dirt sheets, and MySpace was a thing, but I didn't really know much about wrestling, dirt sheets, and stuff like that. And literally the first show that I watched at TNA, I realized that they announced Sting's coming back. So that was like the coolest thing in the world. So that's why I really watched TNA, was for Sting, and then of course AJ, Joe, all those guys. So fast forward until 2009, I got to see AJ Styles for $20 when he was in TNA.
See, that's perfect.
Yeah, I got to see AJ, Joe. No, Joe wasn't there. Maybe he was. No, Joe wasn't there. I got to see AJ. Got to see Kurt Angle, the TNA version of Kurt Angle, which I think was better than his WWE Kurt Angle, in my opinion. Got to see Jeff Jarrett wrestle. Sting.
I've seen Jeff Jarrett wrestle.
That was my first time ever watching Sting wrestle, so that was really cool. That was my biggest thing. Was, oh my gosh, this is my favorite wrestler. I get to see him watch. I get to watch him wrestle. So that was pretty cool. And then went to an independent show up here in Charlotte in 2009. It was just a little small indie show ran by George South, which I think is still in the business, and he's a legend. So that was pretty cool. I do not remember the company name. I do apologize. I don't even know if they're around. But I once watched them in September of 2009. Hit another plateau. Didn't go to an event until 2014. So about another 5 years. And this was when I was in college for a couple of years in Myrtle Beach and Coastal Carolina. And I met a friend named Will who we were part of a Christian Christian organization that just hung out and stuff like that, and just tried to spread the word, stuff like that.
Right.
And we had this like a big meeting where we introduced new members and freshmen and stuff like that, trying to make them feel comfortable. And we went to IHOP right down the street from Coastal, and I wore a shirt that because I ever since I moved up to Charlotte and met my girlfriend and stuff like that, I've always been involved with the church. And we for youth camp, they call it Thirst Camp. We went to Myrtle Beach, and we always had shirts designed. And they'd be cool little designs and stuff like that. Well, the year before I left Charlotte to come to Myrtle Beach, it was Thirst Camp 14, and it had, or 13, maybe it was 13, I don't know. It had a picture of a cross, but it had a picture of CM Punk's fist with a tape and the X, and how one of his shirts had him holding a lightning bolt.
Yes.
Well, this one had him holding. They redesigned the shirt and made him hold a cross.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
it wasn't Punk. It was just the hand.
Yeah.
So I wore that shirt, and he's like, "Dude, do you know what that resembles?" And I'm like, "Jesus, the cross." He's like, "No. There's something more to that." I was like, "Oh, that used to be CM Punk's hand." He's like, "You know wrestling?" I was like, "Do I know wrestling?" I said, "Yes, I know wrestling." And so that started a whole new friendship. And I went to a Raw for the Slammies in Greenville, South Carolina, 5 hours away from Myrtle Beach. I loved it. It was a cool show. I loved the experience. I loved hanging out with my friends. My girlfriend, that was her first wrestling show. I hated everything else about it because we did exams that day. We left at 2 o'clock so that way we can get there at 7, eat a quick bite to eat for dinner, went to the arena, watched the show. It was great. And then I had to drive 5 hours back.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I
That's
started
what
seeing
did in
double
Atlanta.
halfway through because I was so tired. But that was an interesting experience. And then that was my first ever Raw I've ever been to as well. So it took me
Wow.
18 years to go to a Raw.
Wow. I mean, at least
Mitchell
you
Raw in
went.
Charleston.
At least you've
Yeah,
been to
exactly.
one. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some people that have never been to a Monday Night Raw or even to a live event. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
There's not been. There's some kids, that I see, anytime I see a kid, man, that's going to a wrestling event, I feel so happy. It's like, man, I remember being that kid's age. And, for me, it's like how TNA was $20, back in the, early 90s and early 2000s, during the Monday Night Wars and stuff, I bought tickets to Monday Night Raw over on Bristol, Virginia side at a CD shop for I think $25
Oh wow.
to go to Raw. So I mean, that's the first Raw I ever went to. But when you see people like that, man, and just anybody that's never been to a live event, like especially like my cousin Trevor, for instance, had never been to a live event like that. Now my cousin Nick has, because I took him to the live event in 2000. I think it was 2007 or 2008. One of the years. I think it might have been 2007. But I took him to a live event, the WWE live event, and man, just seeing the how awesome it was for him. Like, oh man, it's so different from watching them on TV and seeing them in person. You're like, oh my god, you're like, this is crazy, and the sound of the ring is so different than it is on TV.
Oh yeah.
That's what I tell people. Like, the ring nowadays in WWE is nothing compared to how it used to sound. Like when I went to that live event, when I went to the indie show last Sunday, and you could just hear the and my dogs are about to freak out because somebody's home. So if you hear them barking in the background, I am totally sorry. But
They just want their presence to be known on the show. That's it.
yeah, they do. They're like, please give me the shout out here, please,
Yeah,
please.
right.
I think it was, but no. But anyways, yeah, like I was saying, you just seeing, the expression and or the loudness of the ring. I told my fiance, I was like, that's the loudness. I was like, that's how loud it used to be in WWE. I was like that is the sweet sound of a ring.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
I love hearing the ring live. And also, I got to shout out to my buddy John North. I know he'll be listening because he told me he would. Big shout out to him for telling me about these events coming up, like the SCI Invitational, as well the past event that we just went to, because he sat like a row in front of me. Actually, 2 rows if you want to be technical, but it wasn't really rows. If you've seen pictures on my Facebook,
Indie shows really don't have rows. There's just
No,
a bunch of chairs in a place and
Yeah.
find a spot.
first come, first serve, pretty much.
Exactly, yeah.
You're there. So, but it was cool though. But big shout outs to him though for telling me about that, and really getting me into the indie scene. You know what I'm saying? So that's the big thing, is them getting into the big scene. So that was the whole big thing right there.
Yeah. So,
But go ahead. I'm
and
going to
just
mute
kinda-
my mic while I feed my dogs, but you can keep on talking.
There
You
you
can
go.
keep talking.
Yeah. So, like I said, kind of finishing up with some of the events I've been to. I went to a Raw in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been to a couple TNA house shows. Those are really the only house shows I've ever been to. I've never been to a WCW house show or WWE house show. Not that I ever really cared. I just never really had an interest in them because house shows were house shows. But TNA was having a house show in the arena that I graduated from, and I was like, you know what, that's kind of cool that I get to experience that. So, and then it went to the Raw in Charleston in like 2015, and then that same year went to my first NXT live event, which was also in the same arena I graduated from. Got to see Finn, got to see Shinsuke, got to see Baron Corbin before he got called up. Got to see American Alpha. I think the Revival were there as well. Asuka was there. That was a really cool show. That was one of the best shows I've ever been to. Experiencing Finn's entrance and stuff like that, and Shinsuke's entrance is it's phenomenal. 2015 was a very good year as far as going to shows were concerned, because later that year went to Bound for Glory, which is TNA's biggest pay-per-view, also held in the same arena I graduated from. And it's not a big arena. It's like maybe 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people can hold it in there. And that's if it's fully capacitated. And TNA had their Bound for Glory pay-per-view that year. We sat stage side, right up against the guardrail as they were coming down the stage, and that was really cool. Got to see my favorite wrestler in TNA, EC3. He's, to me, the best wrestler on that roster. Galloway, a.k.a. Drew McIntyre, he was there. Matt Hardy was there. Matt Hardy actually won the TNA World title that night. And Jeff Hardy was a special guest referee. Got to see an Ultimate X match in person, which was pretty sweet. That was one of Kurt Angle's last shows in TNA, was Bound for Glory.
Yeah, it was. So
That year. I think of who else was really there. Gail Kim was there. Earl Hebner got inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame, which was weird, but whatever, it was cool.
yeah, that's weird.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I know he's inducted into it, and then I just read a thing the other day. He said he really doesn't care if he's inducted into WWE Hall of Fame. I'm like, really, man? Like, you was always the one. You will always be the one for the Montreal Screwjob. I'll never forget watching that on pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Same
not
way
just
with
that,
Owen
but he's mainly the referee that did all the main events. I mean, he was
Yes.
the referee for the Shawn Brett Iron Man match, which in my opinion, if there's a favorite match of my life, it's that Iron Man match between Michaels and Hart at 12 for the world title.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean...
One of them.
Yeah,
I'll go there with one of them.
I don't know why he wouldn't induct that kind of thing. But and then moving on, went to a Raw in Charlotte. First Raw in like 5 years in Charlotte, held in November of last year. We got to see my girl Sasha win the women's title. That was pretty cool. And then the grand finale was this past April, WrestleMania, and that was my first. And I know you have a couple questions you want to ask about that, so
Oh yeah.
if you do, go ahead and shoot away.
All right. So with your first WrestleMania being your first WrestleMania, so going into it, I guess how long was you there for? You was there for.
So we drove from Charlotte to Orlando. It was an 8.5 hour drive. We drove there. We got there Thursday afternoon, and we left there Wednesday morning.
Okay, so you was there, so you did the whole weekend. That I know because I've seen all your pictures on Facebook and everything. That you did the whole weekend.
Which I haven't still uploaded my WrestleMania Raw and SmackDown pictures. They will get up there, I promise. I just am lazy and whatever. The only thing we didn't do was NXT. That's the only thing we didn't do.
See, here they go. Here they go, my dogs. We'll see.
I can
Oh,
barely
you didn't do
hear 'em.
NXT?
No, that's the one thing we didn't do because we knew that those tickets were going to be sold out pretty quickly. And even then, you could probably get them on sale. I heard a lot of people was trying to get some pointers about going down there. They said if you go to an event, even Raw and SmackDown, if you go to an event that day and you buy tickets that day, they're usually pretty cheaper. I'm like, it's okay. I mean, I would love to have gone to it, but it's like we had to have one night to kind of chill out and stuff like that, and that was our night. We ordered pizza at 7:30 and it got there at 9:30, so we picked the wrong day to order pizza because it's Florida and everybody's down there, but. That was our day to chill out, but we watched it on the network, of course.
So you all did the same thing that I did. We'll see. I actually got on StubHub that night of NXT, actually that day, and tickets were like $39.99.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like people said, you can buy tickets, Raw, SmackDown, even Mania, day of the event. You'll usually find them pretty cheap, and I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, so going in, all right. So, leading up to the day of WrestleMania, what was, I guess, your feeling towards, your being your first WrestleMania? How was your emotions and just like everything? How was you feeling before you went? Like, just, I can already imagine because I want to know if you felt like the same way I did. I actually, no lie to you, going back to 32 for myself. I should have mentioned this, but when I went to WrestleMania, I always got promised by my grandmother that she would always, when I turned 16, she would, send me off to WrestleMania. That was going to be my 16th, birthday present, kind of like, how usually people get cars, for their sweet 16th birthday, everybody, I get a car, I got a car for my, 16th birthday.
Right.
I was going to be, I'm going to WrestleMania, because at the time, I was older than everybody in my class. Because, of course, I got held back in the first grade. And, like a lot of kids, I was one of those slow learners. I guess it wasn't like real slow. Because mine was, I had an attitude towards my teacher and would not listen. That's the reason why I got held back. And, I mean, so... I was older than everybody, already had a car, was already driving, because I was 16 in my sophomore year, which I wasn't the only one that was, that I was the oldest out of the whole group, but I wasn't, I don't know, I was already driving, so the car thing for me was like, whatever, but she wasn't alive, of course she passed away when I was 14, so me going to WrestleMania, I broke down crying, no joke. I broke down because I was like, I'm finally here.
Yeah, right.
I'm finally.
I'm not going to lie to you. I am such a perfectionist. So, I had me and 4 of my friends, the Concord Outlaws, we're all down there. We have recorded 3 episodes, podcasts, that have not yet been released because I don't know how to edit very well. So, they make it on here. I hope they do. Maybe it'll be like... if there's ever like a collaboration or collector's edition, that could be something for whatever reason. I don't know. But so we wanted to tailgate for quite a while before WrestleMania. So I was actually at a hockey game here in Charlotte for the Checkers, the local hockey team, AHL team for the Hurricanes. I was actually at a hockey game when I was on Facebook during one of the intermissions, and somebody had said that tickets were on sale for the parking passes, and I had texted. There's a thing that Ticketmaster lets you put your number in, and you get to have updates on tickets, and they never sent me one. I'm like, you bastards. So I ended up buying a parking pass literally right across the street from the stadium. I mean, all I had to do was literally walk across the street, and you were right there. And we got there. We're the second row of cars up against the fence. It was really close. We had a 10 by 10 canopy. We had our flags out there. We had a South Carolina flag, a North Carolina flag, because you're supposed to display where you're from for WrestleMania.
Of course.
And we have a Concord Outlaws flag. I'm not sure if any of you have seen it, but the Phenomenal Show Off has it in his room. We brought that for Mania. Nobody asked us about anything, but that's okay. And then I had to represent. I brought down my Clemson National Championship flag because, whatever. So so we got there. We packed, cooler full of food and drinks to hang out. I bought this little cheap grill with some charcoal and just to cook some hot dogs. We forgot the ice, so we had to go to the nearest gas station to find ice. And I purchased a couple alcoholic drinks, and that was it. So my biggest thing was when I woke up that morning, I'm like, oh, great, cool. WrestleMania Day, this is going to be awesome. Can't wait to get there. But because I'm such a perfectionist, I wanted everything to go according to plan at the right times. And so my biggest thing was I want to get there, I want to set up the stuff, I want to get all the drinks in there, got to get the ice, and then set up the chairs. After that, I'll be able to relax, I'll be able to take it all in. And we talked to some of the guys beside us from Ohio and stuff like that, and so that was pretty cool. We heard Triple H's entrance with the police stuff going off, so that was pretty cool. It didn't hit me until after, or it really didn't hit me until I sat down in my chair, looked around, I was like, damn, this is WrestleMania. This is awesome. This is 75,000 people all coming together for the biggest celebration of the year. Didn't have that. It hit me.
Wait a minute. For 75,000, he says 75,000, but we all know the real number is 66,000 people. But go ahead.
Hey, listen, whatever. Anyways.
No, I mean, it does not matter because listen, before you go on, because I could have sworn to you there were more than 75,000 people there because of the way, just the reactions were, especially for the Hardys. You'd have thought there was 100. I thought I was back at AT&T Stadium again.
Oh, that was a rush. That was a rush. I got goosebumps just thinking about that.
Yeah, me too, man.
But it still didn't hit me that I was there, even though I went on Facebook Live just for something, just for the group, and it still didn't hit me. It wasn't until Undertaker got lost the match, and had his 15 minutes that he kind of just stood there and stuff like that. I started shedding a little bit of tears for that, but it wasn't until we got back to the parking lot that it really hit me. I was like, whew, I just saw Wrestle freaking Mania. That was 6 months of saving up money and doing this trip, all worth it right there. And then that's when I kind of shed a couple tears, and I was like, damn, this was cool. This was awesome, and I want to do it again. So, yeah, that's when it really wasn't until after the event happened that I kind of had my little moment there.
Yeah. I mean, with me, just going back, to me, on the 33, this year, it's kind of like with you, I kind of felt like it was my first WrestleMania, even though I went to 32. Now, like I told you, we saw, a little earlier here in the podcast, was, 32 had an awful card, but, experiencing WrestleMania and the fans and, being around, just tons of fans. I had actually one bad experience at 32 that I should have told about, should have brought it up, which was during that Sasha Banks match, the women's match, when we went outside to smoke, a guy named Joey, another friend of mine, he's on Facebook now, he's from Houston, shout out to him if he listens to this, him and his buddy, Brandon, I told him, my fiance was like, hey, can you watch our popcorn and our stuff today? He's like, yeah. Well, the guy up behind us, this older guy, started eating my fiance's popcorn.
Oh, God.
And went back and took it and refilled it because it's free refills on popcorn and set it back down like he never ate nothing. We got back and they ended up telling us. And so I think his name's Brandon. Like I said, if Joe, I'm sorry if I got his name wrong, but I think it's Brandon. Went and bought her another thing of popcorn because I was getting ready. Yeah, I was getting ready to go because she's like, "Will you go buy me another one?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll go buy you another one." And because she kind of got mad and cussed and did her thing. Let her do her thing because rightfully so. I mean,
absolutely.
that's you don't do that because I spent. Popcorn was not bad. And people's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm about to say $6, for popcorn, but it's free refills."
Exactly.
That $6, at least I didn't have to spend, $6
Another
each
six
time.
again, yeah.
Or, it was free refills. Yep. So I was not mad about that. The only thing I was mad about was that my fiance spent $16 freaking dollars on a margarita at 32. But
Yep.
But that was our bad experience at 32. So I meant to throw that in there. That reminded me of that. But good for, like I said, met some guys, Joey and Brandon are from Houston, so shouts out to them if they listen. So
yeah, the bad experience for 33 for me was when I went to, it was me and two other my friends. We were going to go get some drinks and then a little bit of food. Even though we had a tailgate and ate some hot dogs, that was like at 3 o'clock and it was like 7:30 and we wanted some food, or 6:30.
Right.
So I wanted to see the Aries and Neville match, so I saw that, and then the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. I kind of wanted to see that, so we did. And then afterwards, I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, so let's just go get some food. It was 6:30, and yeah, the line was a little long, but it wasn't too bad. They were moving pretty steadily. One thing I hated, and I don't know if anybody from Orlando or is associated with WWE or whatever, or from Amway and Camping World Stadium. Yes, Camping World Stadium, not the Citrus Bowl like WWE wants you to think.
I still call it the Citrus Bowl because it's always what it's going to be.
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. It's just like, it's Camping World Stadium, though. Like, come on now. We all know it's Camping World Stadium. You can see it in the one of the Trons in the back of the stadium. But the worst part was you couldn't have a bottled water. They had to put in a cup. I hated that.
See, I did not know that.
Just give me the cup, or just give me the water. Yeah. Here in Charlotte, I think they give you just a bottle. Or maybe they take the cap off. I don't know. But they took the cap off and poured the water into a cup for you in both Amway Center and at WrestleMania. And we had the worst cashier customer service person ever. She was horrible. Horrible. Just taking her time with putting the drinks out, taking her time getting the food. There was one... Yes, Charles Barkley, thank you.
Yeah, terrible.
There was one point where she had her fist on her chin as like she was bored as she was pouring out the cup. And I'm like, if I do not get what I want by the time it's 6:55, I'm out of here. And they started putting up the countdown clock. And I'm starting to see it trickling down. And there's 3 people ahead of us. And it was 6:57. I said, F this. I got to go back. I can't miss the beginning of WrestleMania. I said, F it. I don't care. So I was starving and hungry, but luckily we had some drinks and some chips in the car that weren't too hot. So but that was my worst experience. It was, can't say enough bad things. I really don't want to.
I really didn't have a bad experience at 33 this year. All around, I really did not have a bad experience. I actually had a great experience this time around. So I mean that's coming from me. I didn't. Now my fiance, the only time I bought her a drink, of course. So when I bought her a drink, the guy told her. They had, of course, they had to throw the lid away, and she was like, "Why you all have to do that?" I don't remember what he said, but she's like, "Can I have the lid?" He goes, "What I'm going to do is," he goes, "I'm going to throw it in here." He goes, "I'm going to turn my back. You can pick it up." And he let her have the lid because who wants to walk around with no lid to a bottle of Mountain Dew? Like what about somebody comes by and just bloop, kicks it a wall? And it's like,
no kidding.
So, luckily for that, and plus, where we sat at, the smoking area, I could actually still see the ring. So, I pretty much went back and forth from my seat down to the smoking area to smoke a cigarette, and I could still see all of WrestleMania. Like,
well, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I met Matt Hardy.
That's true, that's right. You've never told me that.
Yeah, I met Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. Yeah, so that was cool. But, yeah.
Yeah, that was just all around just a hell of a week. And
yeah, I believe it.
Some people have been saying, not a lot of people, but a couple people are like, you didn't have to do the whole week. Maybe you could have just done like the Hall of Fame and WrestleMania and maybe Raw, but you didn't have to do the whole thing. I'm like, yeah, but this was my first WrestleMania. It was our first WrestleMania. And I'm like, you never know when you're going to get another chance to do this. So
Exactly.
why not go all the
Exactly.
way? And so that's
Exactly.
what we did. And if I go back, I probably won't do the whole week again. I may do maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then leave Tuesday. I do know that I'm hoping there'll be a WrestleMania in Atlanta in 35 at that new stadium.
At the new Mercedes.
And if they do, boy, I'm gonna spend some money on getting a little bit better seats. We didn't have bad seats, but I do want to get a little bit better for both Raw, SmackDown, and Hall of Fame, or not Hall of Fame, WrestleMania. I could do without the Hall of Fame because I did it once. I'm okay with not doing it again.
Well, I mean, you did it. I mean, you went to the best one with Kurt Angle going in, so.
That was such a rush. I almost cried during DDP stuff, but I'm like, damn it, this is the first one. I can't cry during the first one. And that Hall of Fame,
to me,
I thought was amazing.
Yeah, like to me, I wouldn't do Hall of Fame, and that's just me on the weekend. Like I would actually, that would be one thing I would skip. Would be Hall of Fame. I actually had an opportunity to go to the Hall of Fame, and I was actually going to buy tickets to the Hall of Fame, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on that.
Yeah, like I said, I think that was probably one of the best
nothing.
ones. Yeah, I think it was one of the best ones to definitely go to. So I'm glad that we did do it and we went to it. It was a really cool experience. If anybody ever goes to WrestleMania week, if you at least go for 2 days, go for Sunday and Monday, because I just feel like you have to go to the Raw after Mania. It is so awesome. It is so awesome. And especially this past year was just amazing with the whole Roman Reigns stuff and then Beach Ball Mania.
Yes. Yes.
All the chants they did was just amazing. So that was a really cool thing to be a part of. The SmackDown after Mania was really cool because that was the first ever SmackDown Live after WrestleMania. So how was that going to go? And then when Shinsuke came out, I marked out like a mother. So
of course.
That was pretty sick.
Because I left, I was there, we got there, I think Friday. Yeah, we got there Friday, left Tuesday. Yeah, so.
Okay.
I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And I was going to go to Raw on Monday. And here's the reason why I didn't go to Raw on Monday. And I'll get into it a little bit. So, all day long, me and my buddy Dustin, we was looking at tickets, going to see what we was going to do, Plus my fiance, she wanted to do a couple things, but she's like, hey, if you want to go to Raw, go to Raw. I was like, all right, I had the money and everything, because I was, what I was going to do was, it's going to have her stepmom buy us tickets off her card, because at the time I done spent all my money on my card, because see, what I do is I go to the plasma center, so of course, we get a card and everything, and I had money on that card, and I spent it all in the freaking store, so...
Yes, sure. Yep.
Yeah, I spent all that money in the store. I came back with, 4 shirts, but, one of them was for my cousin for his birthday, and my cousin Trevor, I bought him a Bray Wyatt shirt. I came back, I had, of course... I have to buy the WrestleMania 33, the WrestleMania shirt that says I was there, because of course I got the 32 one, and I've got the 33, and I came out, had to buy the Kingslayer shirt of Seth Rollins and plus the AJ Styles shirt. That's the only 2 shirts I really wanted. But yeah, so I was actually going to do that. I was actually going to go to Raw, and tickets, I think, leading up morning when I got up, I think they were $40 or something like that, and I was like, man. I pondered on it for good until 5 o'clock, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back, because we parked 1 block away from the Amway Center, so we paid $10 to park.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to be back in this traffic again, over by the Amway Center and all that, and I don't want to get back like we did for WrestleMania, because WrestleMania actually went over this year. It was 12 something when WrestleMania
it ended
actually
12,
ended.
15.
And
so long.
Yeah, we didn't get back until 2 o'clock in the morning back to our condo. Yep. And so it was ridiculous. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not doing this. I don't want to sit in that traffic because of course, we had to get up the next morning at 8 o'clock and leave, to come back home for Bristol because it's a 10-hour drive for us.
Yeah.
So I had to make that drive back home, and I didn't want to be wore out from going to Raw, and hopefully, because I was wore out after WrestleMania, and I knew I'm not driving the first 5 hours because me and my fiance split it up. She drove the first 5 hours, I drove the last, which ended up being the last 7 hours. It really was the last 7 hours because we stopped and stuff. So, but yeah, I want to do the whole thing next year. My cousin Trevor's going with me next year, and I've already told him, I was like, look, dude, we're going to WrestleMania and we're going to Raw. I don't care what you say, what you do, because I even told him, I was like, you're going with me next year to WrestleMania 34, because he wanted to go this year, and he did his thing. He went to Atlantic City for Base Nectar and stuff like that, and and that's his thing. Because I tell him, which Base Nectar, if you guys are not into EDM, he's a huge electronic artist, and my cousin follows him like I follow WrestleMania. So, or wrestling, and that's true. It's what he does with him. So, and I've seen Base Nectar myself, and he throws on a cool show. But the thing is, I told him, I was like, dude, I don't care what you say, what you do. You're going to WrestleMania next year to New Orleans. I don't care if you, come in on a Saturday and you're there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and you leave on Tuesday, because I think my fiance and me is going to go probably on a Friday, and then we're going to stay probably for it till Thursday, so that way we can do stuff inside New Orleans and stuff like that. Just have another little mini vacation. So, that's what we do with the WrestleMania. I tell people, that's my yearly vacation every year is going to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So, because to me, that's, if you're looking at a vacation for a wrestling fan, that is a vacation for a wrestling fan, because you are going to spend money, if not a little bit more money, on going to the show. I've learned that if you have about $500, you are set for the week. Now, and that's true, because I came back home. Now, granted that I spent a little bit more money than I should have on, souvenirs for my parents and for my sister and my brother-in-law and all that, I came back with $80, I came back with $120, and plus I had to buy gas, and stuff like that. So, of course, you guys pitching on gas money, but, I was proud of myself, because I was like, man, I ain't gonna come home maybe $40, $20, $30 or $40, but I came home with that much money, and I was like, dang. I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't spend as much as I thought, but still, if to anybody listening and you've never been to WrestleMania yourself, that's one thing that you need to do, is go, and all my dogs are starting to bark because they're all right here.
Once again, they're trying to get their voice in the show.
They're trying to get their voice in. They're like, hey, please put me in the show. But no, sorry about that. But anyways, any wrestling fan that's out there listening right now, if you want to, go out and do a vacation, that's what you need to do. You need to go to WrestleMania. Even if it's your one vacation a year, do it. Go out there and do it. Just save money. Tickets go on sale in November. For pre-sale tickets, that's what I do for the past 2 years. That's what I've done. I spent $54 on my tickets this year, a piece. I'm the type of guy. This is me. You talking about you want to sit a little bit closer at WrestleMania. Me, I'm the type of person. I don't care where I sit. As long as I'm in the building, I don't care. Now, I'm not going to say I want tickets that are not obstructed view.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's one ticket I'll stay away from. But, if it's a $50 ticket, to go to WrestleMania, and it's, high up in the nosebleeds like everybody thinks, when I went to AT&T Stadium, I had good seats. Yeah, I was up there, but I could still see everything. So, and it's the same way this year. I could see everything. Everything. And I spent $54 a piece, and I've always said, one day I do want to sit up close, get floor seats and stuff like that. But I'm like, I don't want to spend $500, on 2 tickets, because that's gonna be like $1,000 some dollars on, I don't care where I sit. I'm in the building. I'm there for WrestleMania to watch wrestling.
Right.
That's just always my theory. Because as many wrestling shows as I've been to, that's just me, because I don't care. I love it, and if I can find the cheapest ticket, I'll find it and go. And that's the way some people, I'm not the biggest money manager person, so like if you have me in charge of money, I'm not going to save it like I should, but when it comes down to wrestling, I do. Thankfully, my parents help me out, with buying tickets and sending me with a little bit of money, and my grandparents as well, for Christmas, because my not my great grandmother, listen to me, my grandmother, my mom's mom, she gives money every year, for Christmas, so that helps out, so I save that Christmas money, which this year was $250, plus I go to the plasma center, which, people's like, oh, you go to the plasma center, well, I guaranteed up to $340 a month.
Oh, wow.
So that right there tells you, oh, well, I'm saving money. So, like, I started saving money in February. So February and March, and then I had those 2 months, before I left, because I left here on the 30th or 31st, whatever day that was, that morning. We left that Thursday night, or Friday morning, early Friday morning. Still Thursday night, but I ended up going and everything. But I ended up saving enough money, and I think, like I said, I took about 500, maybe a little bit. I think it was about $600 I took, but something like that. But like I said, man, if anybody out there, just save your money up from November. Buy the pre-sale tickets. Go on there and buy the pre-sale tickets if you can, because that's the best time to buy them. It's during a pre-sale. So I feel like, because I actually had $80 tickets that were extraction view, and those $50 tickets that I bought was no extraction view. The only thing I had extracted was I couldn't see I could see the ramp and everything if you look at my pictures, but I could not see the far turnbuckles of the ring post. I could not see it. Like, I think where Shane did the coast to coast and AJ Styles did the coast to coast on that ring, on that side of the ring, I could not see that where AJ took off. I could not see him right there. That's the only thing I could not see. Everything else I could see. So, I was not mad. I was not upset at all, because I was like, oh, shit, I'm still here. So, I still had fun. And people around me were super, super duper nice. So, they had no problem this year. So, it was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was an experience I'll never forget. We bought tickets the day they went on sale, and we spent $254 on our tickets each.
Well,
and that was
you want to spend what you want to.
Yeah, that's just what we said. We said, what's our limits for everything? And we said, and we all paid for it, so it was pretty cool. I bought parking passes for Hall of Fame, for Raw, for SmackDown, and WrestleMania. Raw, SmackDown, and the Hall of Fame were at the Geico Garage, which was basically literally right across the street from Amway. And we basically parked in the same spot every single night. That helps a lot. I think if you purchase the parking passes for, if it's a garage close to the arena or right across the street from it, I would do it, even if it costs you $20 and it's $10 more than walking a block. I just think it's easier, because Hall of Fame, Raw, and SmackDown, we had no traffic going into the garage. Had no traffic getting into there. Of course, come back out's different. But getting to it was no big deal. We were always usually one of the first people to get inside the arena between Hall of Fame, Raw, and SmackDown. But yeah, definitely, I'm thinking about going to 34. I don't know yet. That's still something I told my friends. I said, we'll think about it. That would probably enable us to fly, but we're all under 25, and we don't necessarily have that kind of money for a rental car for the whole week. But we'll see.
I'll tell you.
We'll see how that works.
I'll tell you the cheapest way. All right. And no joke to you. Don't pack a lot of clothes. Pack clothes, but make sure it's a carry-on. That way you don't have to pay for nothing. You don't pay for your bags. When I went to 32, me and my fiance just took 2 carry-ons a piece. We took one apiece. I took I took my UK book bag, my Kentucky book bag. I had my clothes in it, and then she took a bag that had her clothes in it. You know what I'm saying? So that way we could carry it on. That way there's no extra bag fee right there that you don't have to sit there and wait at the return to get your bags, and you have to stay in that long line for them to check your bags before you can go through everything at the airport. You just take a carry-on and you can bypass everything. Just everything. You just go to the kiosk, get your ticket, and go. Find your gate.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to do it. I mean, because that's what we're going to do next year. Of course, again, I'm just take 2 carry-ons, one apiece, for us, and I'll have my clothes, and and she'll have one carry-on, and we'll stuff it full of her clothes and some of my clothes, a little bit more of my clothes, and go on, And of course, I carry all our toothbrushes and shampoo in the bag, and in my book bag, I carry all that stuff in there, and contact solution, my glasses, and stuff like that. Because yes, I am an old man, and I do take my contacts out at like 7 o'clock at night, or after we're done with this, I'll take my contacts out and put my glasses on, because I can't drive at night without my glasses. Because I could drive with them with my contacts, but the glare. I can't stand that glare on my contacts at night, so that's why I use, my glasses. But yeah, so you just take a carry-on and you'll be all right.
Definitely something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
As we're winding down here, I guess we'll go with kind of one more thing we'll touch on, and then we'll kind of wrap this up a little bit. I can't believe it's almost been 2 hours. It's been crazy how fast time flies when we just talk. So, in your opinion, how do you think the state of professional wrestling is in today?
Okay. Well, I knew he was going to get into this. So, here's my take on this. If you're really looking to get into some good promotions, I tell people right now, the state of wrestling, I think is good. Even on the independent scene, I think the independent scene right now, we call the indies, like ROH, and I don't even consider New Japan really independent, but because it's a big promotion. Yeah. But you got your likes like ROH, and stuff like that. But that state of wrestling right there with New Japan and ROH, I think is great. Yeah. I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. Huge Kenny Omega fan.
Same here.
I'm a Bullet Club fan as well. So I like the Young Bucks, with the whole Super Kick party and all that. But I'll tell you, a tag team that I really do like in ROH is the Briscoes.
Yeah,
Love the Briscoes.
Yes.
The Briscoes are by far my favorite tag team. So, like I said, the state of wrestling, I think, in Japan and ROH, and you can go over to Evolve and CZW and on and on and on, is doing great. But you look at the state of WWE right now, which I'm glad we're talking about this, because I actually want to talk about this. So, you look at the product that New Japan has right now. You got, the Wrestle Kingdom match with Okada and Omega. Mm. Great. A great match. By far, I think Dave Meltzer gave it a 6. A 6 star.
I think it's the first time it's ever given a match a 6 star.
Yeah.
In the history.
And that was a 6-star match. That match was incredible. And their match, I think it's in, I don't know when their match is. It might be in June or July, the rematch. And it's going to blow the roof off. I think it's going to be in L.A., I think.
Yeah, they're doing a G1 Climax special, and they're coming to L.A. for 2 days. And I don't know if they're going to be doing it for the G1 special, or if they're taping a show after that, or if it's a 2-day thing. I know it's something like that. I know they're going to be in L.A., and I think that's when that rematch is happening as well.
And I think this is when Kenny Omega will win the belt. And I've said this to my buddy Dave. Shout out to you, Dave, if I haven't shout out to you already. But I told my buddy Dave, I was like, Kenny Omega's probably going to win this championship. He's going to win it. He's going to hold on to it. And then he's going to end up coming up to WWE. because I think him being in WWE, a lot of people's like, oh, personally, do I want him in WWE? I would love to see him in WWE. Of course, there's a lot of wrestlers, you kind of like, oh, they ain't going to keep his gimmick or nothing like that. Well, you got to give it time. It's kind of like Adam Cole right now. I think Adam Cole would benefit going to NXT. And he said he would want to go to NXT just to get his name out there and let people know who he actually is.
Mm.
And I actually agree with that. So, but with the state of wrestling right now, but with the Kenny Omega thing, let me jump back to it real quick. With the Kenny Omega thing, I would love to see him in WWE. Will that happen? It will probably happen next year because I think he only signed a 1-year deal with New Japan. So, personally, I think it will happen. But now the state of WWE right now is on. I tell people it's always around this time of year that WWE hits its down. It hits a downslide. It's the product starts getting. It just goes down, and the reason because of it is you've had WrestleMania, and now you've got all these pay-per-views. Like what was the one after? I think it wasn't Backlash, was it? Was the one right? No, I don't even remember. Was the one
Payback?
Payback. And see, I didn't even watch that because I was at the Snoop Dogg concert. So that's one pay-per-view. I actually came back home and watched it. I didn't watch it live, but I came back home, and as soon as I got back home, I watched it. And then you had Backlash, this past Sunday. Mm-hmm. So, and I just watched it, just got done watching it, with Jinder winning the belt, and we'll get into that in a second. But, I just think WWE right now with the storylines and everything is just it's not coming together. Now we are coming up to Money in the Bank with SmackDown. Now I have one problem with this. I don't like that it's a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view because I think Raw should have a little say in it. I think what they should have done is put 2 matches. You could still make it, I guess, a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, but you should have had another Money in the Bank where it was just Raw guys. But I know they're doing the Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules, in which we all know it's going to be Finn Balor because Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt's going to feud, and Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins is going to keep on feuding. So, it's going to be Finn Balor, and rightfully so, it should be Finn Balor. But at the same time, I think there should still be like a Money in the Bank for Raw because it just makes sense to me, I guess, in the point of, why does SmackDown have one and not Raw? Because a lot of people are looking at it like that too, like, okay, why does, when I first looked at it, I was like, why? That makes no sense. To me, I would have had at least, a couple participants in the Raw on, even though, like I said, even though it's a SmackDown pay-per-view, you still have like one Raw match, Monday Night Raw match for the one of the briefcase, and then they can hold on to it and then cashing in at WrestleMania. Heck, shit. It is what it is. I don't know. I just think right now WWE, the state of WWE, the other promotions I think is great. They're all hitting its high points. Even like I said, the indie scene itself is hitting a high point. You're seeing more and more guys coming over, and these indie guys like the one I went to this past weekend. Joey Ryan, Michael Elgin from New Japan, Cody Rhodes, Matt Cross from Lucha Underground. You got all these guys that's coming in, and they're putting on great matches at these indie shows, and they're 5-star matches. And you're like, holy crap, and it's like when I look back at it and I'm like, that was better than even now that I've watched Backlash. That indie event was just as good as Backlash was, if not just a little bit better, but now, like I said, WWE hits its low point at this time of year, and it does, being a wrestling fan for so many years, around May, June, it always hits its point where it's dull, and I don't know why. Yeah. And something needs I think it's stories, I like the brand split. I have nothing wrong with it. A lot of people are going to be like, well, the brand split has a lot to do with it. No, not really. The brand split has not a lot to do with it. But, because I like how other guys on SmackDown are getting an opportunity. They're not getting shown at all on Raw. You know, like Kalisto, for instance, getting beat up by Braun Strowman. You know, that's pointless. Sin Cara is the same way. You know, these guys need to be on SmackDown to get more exposure because you're not going to get exposure on Monday Night Raw unless you're a top name superstar. You know, and like same way with like Rhino and Heath Slater.
Right.
Where they been? You know, so like I said, I mean that's the thing. And same way with like Enzo and Cass. You know, I'm not a huge Enzo and Cass fan. You know, my fiance is. She loves Enzo and Cass. I'm not a huge Enzo and Cass fan. I think they should split them up, which that's what they're doing, because that's Big Cass obviously attacked Enzo Amore, and they need to kind of not push him, but kind of let Enzo go his own way, or not Enzo, sorry, Cass go his own way to be a big guy. I don't think he'll be as dominant as Braun Strowman, because that's one superstar that I really do like, is Braun Strowman. That guy is just a freak.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's grown on me the past few months too, as well.
Yeah, I mean he's grown on a lot of us, but you know at the same time, you know you got these guys over on Raw, you know, and you're seeing the same things on Raw each week. You know, you're seeing the Hardys and Cesaro and Sheamus, you know, and you're seeing all this stuff, and you're like, okay, and then you're watching SmackDown, and it's different. You know, you got Jinder Mahal as a champion, and I'm gonna say this. And talking about this, we're going on this Jinder Mahal topic. Taz said it best, you know, and Stone Cold said it too today. You know, Jinder Mahal is a good champion. She will be a good champion. It's something different. You know, everybody bitches and complains. Sorry about it, but you know, I have to say it. But they do complain. Oh well, I want a new champion, and Jinder Mahal wins it. Oh, I'm going to go off and you know, do whatever and not watch WWE and we'll cancel my subscription. Okay, well, cancel it. You're the one over here being, you know, what ICW, you're being over here being the internet, you know, guys, and you want a new champion, but yet you're going to complain when Jinder Mahal gets it. Like, who cares? It's different. He has worked. This man has worked. I mean, he's good on the mic. I give him that. I think he's decent on the mic. His in-ring ability, like I said, just watched Backlash and just finished it. I thought was pretty good. I like the shockness of, you know, Jinder Mahal winning it. Do I see him keeping it? No. I think a lot of people saying Rusev is going to get into the Money in the Bank match and he'll probably win it. I'll tell you somebody I'd like to see win, probably Baron Corbin. I'd like to see Baron Corbin win it. I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
I'll quickly, I guess I'll answer from my version. I think the state of wrestling is in a decent spot. Yes, it could be better. It's not. I don't know if we'll ever have the boom like we did back in the 80s and the 90s. We could. I think that ROH is in a very good spot. I think yes. TNA it's back and forth. If TNA just kind of
that's me.
They were a small fish. They were a fish that was too big to be in a small pond, but not big enough to be in a big pond. And
yes.
Between 2005 and 2009, man, they were on par with WWE as far as product.
Was. Yeah, they
maybe not. Viewership wise, no, and they never probably will be. But product wise, they were great. And then ever since Hogan Bischoff came in, and I don't know really who to blame it on.
They kind of did a Vince Russo.
In a way, and Vince was even the writer for TNA for years, and even then it was still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Vince Russo did all right. But he is the most hated man in wrestling. But
it's about yeah. And I just don't know what to fix of how to fix TNA. Besides going back to what brought you to the dance, but I feel like it's a little too late for that. I just hope they do stick around.
Yeah, I think TNA's fizzling out.
Yeah, it's been that way for the past couple of years, and so far they've been able to stay above water. I heard they're probably going to be doing some more touring this year, which would be great because they don't tour at all, besides maybe a
Yeah,
pay-per-view.
they don't.
And then tapings, and that's it. So it'd be good to see them do some more live shows.
And they also got the sponsor, or they're also with, is it Global Force now and Evolve?
No, just Global Force, which
it
I
just
think is the
Global
most
Force?
pointless thing in the world. That
Yeah,
Jeff
'cause
Jarrett
that's
made
Jeff
a whole new
Jarrett.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a whole new company and tried to try to do exactly what he did with TNA, and it sucked. That's why they're together. I never like to see a wrestling company like that go away because I know how I felt after WCW ended. Where I'm like, okay, there's WWE, and then there's what? What else? What can I watch? So I don't like seeing a company like that struggle so much. I hope they rebound and they stay for a while. I think Lucha Underground is in a great spot. They're doing great
Yes.
things with that.
Which I need to
I
watch it on
think
Netflix.
Yeah. Oh man, it's great. They're on Netflix now. New Japan. I think if Kenny Omega left, I think it would have been a big blow to them for sure. I think him staying there for another year, while I would love to have him to be in WWE by now, I think it's good for him and it's good for wrestling and it's good for New Japan.
Yes.
I think they're the true number 2 no matter what. I don't think TNA is number 2. I don't
No,
think
New Japan is by far the two.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
WWE,
and
then New
ROH
Japan,
is
and then
number
everybody
3.
else.
I think
I would
ROH
say
is number
that,
3,
yeah.
in my opinion.
Because
Because I mean, they just put on. I mean, even though it's guys from New Japan as well, but I mean, they just put on such good matches. I mean, you got Jay Lethal over there.
yeah,
and all
Jay
that,
Lethal.
man.
I mean, a TNA product that really wasn't.
I like Jay
that,
Lethal. I like him.
I like him. I think that
Black
his
Machismo.
TNA stuff was okay. Yeah, I loved his Black Machismo stuff and his little feud with Flair before he left or whatever. But it's like he was always that comic relief. He wasn't anything serious. Almost like Eric Young in TNA. And then once Eric Young slowly became that psychomaniac, I'm like, this Eric Young is great. And then they kept it with WWE, and I'm like, this is great. And same thing with Jay Lethal. Ever since he got serious, man, and he's always had that in-ring ability, shot up like a rocket. So I think the state of wrestling is in a decent spot. Yes, it can be better. I think, with the WWE coming up in the summer months, I think it helps with the Money in the Bank match because in Extreme Rules, the Fatal 5-Way, because it adds a little bit more dynamic, adds a little bit of excitement to it. Like, who's going to win
And-
Money in the Bank?
And
Fatal,
also, they're building for SummerSlam as
Exactly.
well.
So
I
I
mean, that's
think-
why I always say they hit the downsides because it's like they're building up again for WrestleMania as you're building up for SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think it's tough having those big fours every year because you have to constantly build up. The Rumble is its own thing because it's its own match.
Yes.
I think SummerSlam and Survivor Series are the two ones that are hardest because it's like, okay, that's the big four, but like, what else do we do?
Right.
Why should we do this on SummerSlam and not WrestleMania? But I mean, like I said, I think it's in a good spot. I think it's in a decent spot. I just think that it just needs to be a little bit more edgier in a way. I don't mean Attitude Era edgy. I just think it needs to be a little bit more on edge to get that buzz surrounding it again. Especially with this crazy world that we're in and everything's so sensitive nowadays. I think if they break that barrier again, maybe it'll open up a little bit more. I doubt it.
I think it needs to go back to PG-13.
Yeah, maybe
mean,
not
I've
totally
always said that.
PG-14, but PG-13 would
I
be
mean,
great.
it don't. I mean, you got kids that watch Walking Dead and all that now. And play Grand Theft Auto and all those games.
Yeah, I think we're past that stage of, well, this does this to children and this does this to children. Yeah, but
Right.
I mean, really, come on now.
It's
Let's be
like
real.
it's like when I read about them taking a curb stomp from Seth Rollins. That was a smart move. I understand because when I was a kid and there's kids that do it now, they do wrestling moves at home.
Oh yeah,
Who would not curb stomp somebody? If I was a little kid and I was playing around with my friends, we was wrestling around, I'm going to hit my friend with a curb stomp because that thing was
Yeah, deadly move.
brutal.
Yes.
So I understand that, but at the same time, I think that WWE needs to maybe look back and going into TV 14 and bringing back a little bit more of the cuss words, and because they have to hold it back so much. I think
right.
I think some of the promos, like from Anderson and Gallows, for instance, being in New Japan, they can say whatever they want. Same with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens cuts great promos as it is.
yeah.
So, but adding a little bit of cuss words, like a-hole and all that. I mean, they still say it and stuff. You hear Chris Jericho all the time. I love Chris Jericho. I always have.
Absolutely.
Always been a Jericho-holic since WCW.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he's got more moves than Dean Malenko, so you know.
He's got 4 more moves. 4
yes,
more.
he's got 4 more, but I mean, he's still got
That's all
more
he
moves than Dean Malenko, though.
That's all he needs.
But you know, to me, you know, I think they need to bring it back a little bit edgier, like you said. You know, bring it back to an edge. You know, and start getting people back into wrestling again. You know, there's some fans are like, "Oh, wrestling is fake and script." We all know it's fake. You know, let me rephrase that. Fake as in a way of scripted.
Yes.
I shouldn't say fake.
Yes.
I shouldn't say fake. It's scripted. Now, I tell non-wrestling fans, would you get in a ring and jump off that top rope? Hell no, you won't, because you know it's going to hurt. Would you go through that table? No, because it's going to hurt. You know, there's stuff like that I always tell people. You know, they put their bodies on the line for our entertainment. You know, for our enjoyment. You know, they don't have to go out there and do that. You know, because I know I'm not going out there and doing it. I respect what they do because they're entertaining me. Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a wrestler. No joke. As much as I told you, you know, before we started recording, you know, with the whole baseball thing, you know, I wish I would have gotten into wrestling. Because when I was younger, when I was, you know, 17, 18 years old, I wish I would have started training, you know, and I tell people all the time, I grew up in the wrong generation. I should have been born into this generation because Ricky Morton, for instance, is from Bristol. He has his own school.
Okay.
My mom knows Ricky Morton very well. My mom's a nurse, so that's her patient. So just going to go as far as there. But knows Ricky Morton. Good friends with Ricky Morton. My dad is too. I've got a shirt, a Son of the School of Morton shirt that you can buy on Pro Wrestling Tees. Yes, Ricky Morton, I just gave you a plug. So you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees and get you a School of Morton shirt. But I got the woman that prints them is my mom's best friend, prints all of his School of Morton shirts. So I got him to sign it before he went to Orlando. So I've actually got it put up. So because everybody's like, won't you wear it? And I'm like, nah, I'm going to keep it, you know, because it's on a cool green, like lime green shirt, and it's so cool looking. I'm like, I cannot wear this.
No kidding.
So I mean, you know, I think that's pretty cool. But like I said, I think I grew up in the wrong generation, but it's okay. I'm glad, you know, that I'm an 80s baby and grew up in the 90s, and because I got to see a lot of great wrestling. You know, to me, I got to see a lot of great wrestling, and I can't complain about that at all. So
yeah.
But like I said,
and then quickly touch on the Jinder Mahal thing. Here's my thing. You're telling me that a guy who was in Jobber City with 3MB.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Lost a match to El Torito.
Band.
Yeah, lost to El Torito on a Raw.
Yes.
And then goes away, comes back, and comes back, wins one match for the number one contenders match, and then all of a sudden wins a world title. That I don't get. This was a very quick transition. It's not the fact that it wasn't different, and SmackDown's been doing stuff differently, and it's fine, it's great, it's working. It keeps it interesting.
Yes.
If they had built Jinder Mahal for a couple months as this guy that has this attitude, this anti-American agenda with the Bollywood boys, or I forgot what they're called on SmackDown, but
it's kind of like
if it was
having
built-
Seth Rollins with Jamie Noble and Joey Mercury.
yes,
J&J
but
Security.
They built Seth up for months. He won the Money in the Bank match, but he was built up. And he was winning matches and stuff like that, and he was in main event scene. If they had done kind of like the same thing with Jinder, heck, they could have put somebody else. It could have been AJ versus Orton, and AJ won, or it don't matter who won at Payback or Backlash. If Jinder won the Money in the Bank match, great. Maybe not use it like Dean did last year, the same event, or for a couple months. Build him up. Make him like that. Make him like that 2.0 of Seth Rollins with J&J. Make him like that. That's my only problem, is that to me it was too quickly, and that it wasn't enough legitimacy that it makes me believe, yeah, he's a main eventer and he can win a world title. I honestly can't tell you the last time I remember a Jinder Mahal match that was decent. I really can't. That's just me.
Me either.
I mean, because he really hasn't. Because he's always been either that jobber, or if he won a match, it's been very quickly. So
Right.
it's hard for me to believe that in a month he goes from giving Finn a concussion, transferring him to SmackDown, beats 5 guys, then pins AJ before Backlash, and then wins the world title.
Right.
Okay, how? So,
Yeah.
that's just my only thing about it. I don't
I
hate it. It's just it's very.
It could have been built more. They could have built it up more than they have already.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it.
I mean,
So-
and that's WWE's problem, though. You know, as much as we sit here and talk about, you know, people bash WWE all the time because of the story writing and all that, but you know, I think SmackDown is a good show. You know, is it better than Raw? Some weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
agree.
lot better than Raw. And then there's some weeks that they're on the same level. They're both B shows. You know, it's it's how it is. I mean, sometimes it's like that. It's like, okay, they're on the same level this week, and then next week SmackDown or Raw is a little bit better. But I don't know. I just think, you know, with the storylines over on Raw, like, I think it's a little bit confusing, you know, with myself, you know, and unfortunate for Seth Rollins getting hurt. You know, we would have had that Samoa Joe feud before going into WrestleMania with Triple H, which I enjoyed that match. A lot of people said, "Oh, that match was boring." I personally got into it a lot. I really enjoyed that match. I think just because the build behind it, and then him coming out in NXT and all of that, that was great. Just building it up into WrestleMania. So I thought that was a great build up. But I don't know. I feel like right now Raw needs to find a way to. I think it needs to be cut down back to 2 hours. 3 hours is too much. And a lot of people, anybody will agree, 3 hours is way too much because your 8 to 9 o'clock hour is nothing but a fill-in. Then from
Yeah.
9 to 11 is when you're getting into Monday Night Raw. I've always said that. I've said that for years now since they've done this 3-hour crap. But I still watch it because I'm a fan of wrestling. Yes, I do not watch it live, so people are going to be like, "Oh, you're not a hardcore wrestling fan." Yes, I am a hardcore wrestling fan. I'm a diehard wrestling fan. Just because I DVR it, you know, I do stuff, you know, with my fiance, you know, when she gets home from work, you know, we go out and do stuff, you know. So, you know, I don't like to watch it live unless I'm sitting at home on Monday nights. You know, even when we're here on Monday nights, I don't watch it live. I'll wait until 11 o'clock, watch it, and that's because I can skip through the commercials too. So, but it's also because if I catch something, it's like, oh, I have to sit through this crap, you know, and I can just rewind it real quick, and then like 10 minutes later, boom, or 5 minutes later, the match is over, and it's like, see, I didn't want to sit through all that crap. So,
Right.
you know, there's a lot of things I think, same way with like the cruiserweight, I think they need to get rid of 205 Live. I think, you know, it's nothing against the cruiserweights. I have nothing against the cruiserweight. I like that they brought that back, but I don't like 205 Live. I think not enough people are sticking around for it. What they need to do is have them on Raw and SmackDown, and let them have matches on both. So, I mean, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent. I do think Raw needs to go 2 hours. I think if 205 Live is going to be a thing, don't showcase them on Raw because it doesn't make sense.
No, it don't.
If that's the case, they need to be on both Raw and SmackDown because that way to promote them a little bit more. But, I mean, it is what it is. I think the Cruiserweight division just hasn't been given enough time to
No,
really do everything
it
they
hasn't.
need to do. And not
That's
not
why
people
Neville's
give them
been
a
champion for
chance,
so long.
No kidding. And even if Aries became champion, I still think it would give it a boost a little bit, but it wouldn't be a whole lot.
Yeah, we'd still be
So-
in that situation. What they're in right now, they're still in that situation
Yeah.
where, you know, okay, Austin Aries has been champion since WrestleMania, and when's he going to drop the belt? You know, it's kind of like Neville, and I have nothing wrong with Neville. I like the heel Neville.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm going to do something real quick, and we was talking about it tag team wise. You know, we really did get into it. Like one of my favorite tag teams, you know, in WWE right now. You know, I do like the Revival. You know, of course, I love the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys will always be my favorite tag team. I'm that Mark that loves the Hardys.
MarkOutMania.
Even with the broken gimmick, and that's the only reason why TNA stayed alive. and they need to give it to them and let them bring it to WWE because that will make money.
Oh yeah.
And Vince knows that. I mean, I've been reading stuff, and we've all been reading stuff on how the Hardy situation is going on. Eventually, they'll get it. But because you can hear Matt Hardy out there go, yash, and Brother Nero, he throws little jabs
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
and if that wasn't the case, they wouldn't let him do it.
Mm-hmm. So, my thing is, one of my favorite tag team is the Usos. Now, did I like the face Usos? They were all right. I like, their moveset. But them being heels, perfect. I mean, they fit the bill perfect to be it. I mean, it looks like they're going to drop the hottest mixtape of 2017. But boy, they can go out there and, I mean, they do good. They do. I think they're probably one of the best tag teams on SmackDown. And a lot of people are going to say, well, what about American Alpha? Yes, I like American Alpha too. They remind me of the Steiner brothers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, they're attire. Just shouts.
I put a little bit of their in-ring ability too, because they do have that amateur wrestling background, like both Scott and Rick do.
Yes.
So that does tie into it a little bit.
And Scott Steiner, I know you'll never listen to this, but I tried to meet you way back in the day, and you were a prick. So let's go with that, man.
Oh, that's great. That's
awesome.
awesome.
I figured out. Put that little in there. Scott Hall, you're a prick. Not Scott Hall. Scott Steiner.
Oh boy, now we're getting.
No, I said Scott Hall. My bad, Scott Steiner.
See, give you a call.
Yeah, no, Scott Hall don't. I love Scott Hall, man. That's my boy. No, but yeah, Scott Steiner is a prick. Like, just that's all I gotta say. I waited in line to meet this guy for an hour to get an autograph, and he told me like he wasn't going to sign no more. That he was tired. So,
boy.
Yeah, what a prick. Well, I gave him the business. That's all that needs to be said. I said some few cuss words, and he jabbed back at me, and I jabbed back at him, and to the point where I made him so mad he had to walk back to his car. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but
That's
no,
awesome,
it was great. It was great though because I'm not a big Papa Pump fan. Steroids. That's what I called him.
Here we go.
I called him Big Steroid Man. Oh,
There
he
you
got
go.
so mad. He's like, I ain't taking steroids. I was like, okay. I was like, look at that basketball on top of that I was like, look at that basketball arm with that baseball lump. I was like, yeah, you can't tell me that crap.
Oh man, that's great.
Yep.
So finishing up a little bit here. So in a couple sentences, maybe a paragraph.
Got you.
What do you think you can bring, or what will you bring? Not only as a member of the Outlaws, but just in general. What do you see yourself bringing? Obviously experience, but I mean, what else?
Well, of course, like you said, just experience. But also going to bring, to you, to this podcast and to you guys is, going to be doing interviews with some indie wrestlers. Going to a lot of indie shows, getting to meet these guys. Get to open up the door for not just for myself, looking out for the whole group, as in to interview indie wrestlers, and one day hopefully get up there where we can do big superstars in WWE. But just going to be doing indie wrestling like podcasts with guys. Like I said, Sean Phoenix is going to be the first one. This guy looks like Jeff Hardy. Only been wrestling for a year. He's going to do it for free, but I'm actually going to buy his T-shirt. So, to kind of give back for saying thanks for doing a podcast with me and all that. But going to bring some energy, going to bring some knowledge to you guys. Going to bring my hate for Roman Reigns, so get ready for it. I'm going to try to do some live stuff, hopefully, here in the maybe next week, might do a live podcast somewhere. I'll give you guys a heads up, and whoever wants to join is more than welcome to join the live podcast. We might do like a Google Hangout live thing, which would be pretty cool, I think. Get us all together, next week sometime, and just do a live show. And because I feel like if we get the whole group in together, we could all have a debate and discuss a lot of things, different points of views. I like doing that. I'm just that debate guy. I know I went over more than a couple sentences, but just going to be energetic, man. I'm fun. I know about my wrestling, but like I said, I like to do love wrestling, so I'm going to bring everything I got to the table and make this channel, hopefully, and this podcast a big success, because I know that's what we're all out for. You know, even your buddies and yourself. You know, that's what your goal was before. You know, I tagged along with you guys. But I'm thankful that you guys let me in. You know, into y'all's group with the Concord Outlaws. I think it's going to be awesome thing that we're going to be doing here. I really do, and like I said, just putting our name out there on different, different, social media accounts, and shoot, whatever, like doing live streams on Ustream or Periscope or what Google Hangouts. We can do, live stuff on there, and hopefully YouTube will start working where you don't have to have 10,000 viewers or 10,000 subs to go live. So hopefully we can start doing that, and you'll see me doing little podcast here and there, just by myself, and might have one of my friends jump on, and me and him might do some debates. So you'll see a lot of debates too, because there's plenty of people that have their own opinion, and I'm that guy. I'm like Paul Heyman. You can tell me whatever you want, I'm gonna shoot right back at you.
There you go.
I'm gonna shoot right back at you, because that's the way it is. I mean, I've been doing podcasts, guys. That if you're listening and you hear my dog out there, because she agrees, because she knows, because she's heard plenty of podcasts of mine. But we're going to be bringing you a lot of great content. You're going to see my beautiful face here probably, like I said, next week, more than likely, and I'm going to get in touch with Sean Phoenix, and hopefully, if I get in touch with him, hopefully might have Cody on, and Cody, and can interview Sean Phoenix a little bit. That'd be something cool. Figured you might like that if you want to be joined in on that.
That'd be cool, man. That'd be something definitely for sure. Maybe whenever you guys get to be able to schedule that in and pencil that in, definitely give me a heads up if he's cool with it, and having more than one person, I'd be honored. That'd be cool to do something like that. I've never done that, so that'd be something I'd be interested in for sure. Then hopefully here next week, maybe if everybody's on board with it, we can get a Google Hangouts and a live stream on YouTube, get something going up there, and show everybody's faces, and show them that we are the face that runs the place.
Yes, we are the face that runs the place.
And,
now, all you guys got phenomenal behind you guys' name, so I'm going to be Jake the Snake or Snake the Jake, which one you want to put me as. I don't care, because it will always be a shout out to Jake the Snake Roberts.
Absolutely.
Which I watched that documentary on him on Netflix, which was fantastic. So, So whatever, you guys are going to enjoy me. It's going to be fun. Like I said, I'm a energetic guy. I do cuss a lot, but I'm not going to cuss on here. So,
we'll have the Unleashed shows every now and then, just to release some energy and get some of that out there.
Yeah, when we do like those shows, and you'll see me like when these guys will say something, and hopefully none of them's a Roman Reigns fan. If they are, then they're gonna have to hear it from me. So
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so.
I hope not. I mean, it's okay if they are. I mean, I have no problem if you're listening to this and you're a Roman Reigns fan. It's all cool. I have no problem with it. To me personally, I do not like him. I will never like Roman Reigns. I have not liked Roman Reigns since FCW, and so I mean that goes back. So that's before NXT. So I didn't like him in the Shield, because he couldn't talk. He talks like a guy that should be in a video game.
That's crazy. There you go, though. But yeah, man, we'll hopefully get something here going next week, and went over quite a bit, but it was awesome. I couldn't have had it any other way. For people that are listening to this, going, why in the hell did we do a 2.5 hour podcast? Well, you know what? Sometimes that happens. So
yes,
you don't have to watch or listen to the whole thing at once. Just do it in increments every 15, 20, 30 minutes. Every time you're sitting on the toilet, I do it too. Driving down the car, do whatever. But definitely, this is a hell of an interview, hell of a podcast, and a great way to open up the first episode of MarkOutMania. And once again, I do want to thank Jacob for being my guest today on the show. Now we get to do the plugs, the social media shout-outs. So, once again, if you want to go ahead and go first, give your plugs real quick, and
all right.
I'll go and follow up.
All right. Well, if you guys want to follow me on Facebook, just type in my name, Jacob Brock, and it should pop up if you type my name in. If it don't, you can type in my email address, which is kycats5434@yahoo.com. That should pop it up if you find me by my email. It should say Bristol, Tennessee. You'll see a Panthers logo. You'll see me and my fiance. My fiance's in the front. I'm in the back. We're at WrestleMania, so you see that. If you want to follow me on Instagram, just type in Ace Boogie Jake, and yes, that is after Cam Newton. So type in Ace Boogie Jake, and you'll follow me, and you'll see it. And I'll follow you on Instagram. Also, Snapchat. If you want to go on Snapchat, see me on Snapchat because I go to a lot of indie shows. Or going to start going to a lot of indie shows. Just look up Jacob30_squad. Again, Jacob30_squad. That is my Snapchat. So that's the only plugs I got because I ain't got no Twitter. Now I'll have to make a Twitter. I'll have to make one. I actually have one made, but I'll make another one. I'll make a newer one.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I never had a Twitter until I went to WrestleMania and I got interviewed by Fox Sports 1340, and they was like, "Dude, you need to make a Twitter if we're gonna connect." And I was like, "Okay." And I made one in Orlando, so that was my thing.
Yeah.
We don't have a Snapchat yet. I think we're working on that, and we'll be bringing that to you guys here hopefully soon. I think it's just depending on who wants to make one and stuff like that. Follow me personally, Cody Montanaro on Facebook. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody Montanaro. That is with a KODYMONTANARO. Think of Joe Montana, put an RO at the end. You'll find me. Capitalize the K and the M for Cody Montanaro. On Twitter, same thing. And then on Twitter and social media or Facebook for Concord Outlaws. On Facebook, Concord Outlaws Wrestling. You can put spaces in between. I don't know if it matters, but you should see us right there on Facebook. And then on Twitter, it is Concord Outlaws, and that is one whole word, C and the O for Concord, and Outlaws are capitalized. We don't have an Instagram yet either. We're kind of lacking and slacking, but we'll get up on that. We'll make sure to give you guys all the nice special features on the social media. So, but besides that, like I said, we'll hopefully get something up next week with all of us. If not, we'll be doing probably the same thing next week on episode 2. Maybe a little bit more in-depth on Raw, SmackDown previews and reviews. Maybe previews for upcoming pay-per-views. Extreme Rules is next Sunday,
we'll have
so we
to
can
do
preview
Extreme
that.
Rules next week. Definitely have to do Extreme Rules.
And then Raw and SmackDown for sure. But once again, thank you, Jacob, for coming on and
thank you.
spending a few hours with us. I do appreciate you for being the first guest on MarkOutMania. And until next week, guys, we hope you enjoyed this podcast. Definitely like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. Like us on Facebook and Twitter and all those social media sites that we just plugged. Give us some comments and feedback, too. Definitely need feedback so we know what we can do besides make it shorter. I know that. We'll get to that. But anything else, then definitely leave it in the comments below. Other than that, guys, we will see you next week here on MarkOutMania and as well as the Concord Outlaws Wrestling Podcast.